All right, there we go. Live. Hola.
All right. Is it 12 yet?
We are.
Oh, we got a minute.
We got 1 minute.
Wait,
Yeah,
we should start
we
recording.
should.
I was wearing my jacket because I was like, it's kind of cold in here.
Yeah, I may take mine off in a second.
It's gonna get a little toasty.
Pause, I guess.
Right.
That might be what it is.
Wait a minute. What?
That's probably what it is.
I don't like the way I did that.
Who do we
I'm
got?
gonna put ice on it.
Is that RJ? That is RJ. Mr. Jones? It is
Yeah, that's
RJ.
him.
What up, man? Got your homie Ryan here.
Dog, I need to go ahead and just invest in a boom.
I got one.
Do you?
UE
A
boom.
boom for the mic.
I
Uh,
was about to say I got a UE boom. Like I got it with me if y'all need it.
It's all good. Just gonna have to key up on the mic.
Oh, my boys and hi.
what up, Mike?
I told him about this. He said we don't want no parts.
You want to know parts of this? That's funny. That's funny. All right, we are live. We're gonna chat it up for a little bit.
Yo, Ryan,
What up?
does your Siri on your watch just automatically turn on sometimes?
Nah.
Okay.
Gotta mind
It's
it.
just me gonna do it. Mine is
Yours
weird.
is?
Yeah. Like I'll just be randomly talking. I don't even say like, "Hey Siri" or anything.
I was about to say.
It's like, can I help you with something? I'm like, nah, not right now, Siri.
What? How long you had yours?
I got it last year on my birthday, so
It's been doing it ever since then.
yeah. Random, not that much, but just on random occasions.
Yeah. It might be something in the watch. Have you looked at like the watch app? Now? It might be something in there that's
Yeah.
yeah. 'Cause when you lift it up, it might automatically, or when you on the watch.
I know. Okay, I can go. Hey Siri.
Yeah.
Oh shit, it does it both of them.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it shouldn't do it for both of them.
It does. It should. If you, especially in your thing, if you got your mirror on, it's gonna do it for both of them.
Yeah.
Are these y'all's keys? Yeah, you can put them against that wall. I just might be.
Oh, I'm just gonna drop them here.
All right, we are live.
I can't wait till tomorrow.
Welcome, welcome, welcome all
GOT.
to another edition of your favorite podcast, Forum Millennials.
Gang.
I am your boy Duchala. We're mixing identities here. I am your boy Pablo.
So you trying to tell me you like jollof rice now?
I mean, I'm just trying to tell you that I love you people.
Eh.
I was going to say my Ethiopian people too, man. Shout out.
Yo, East Africa.
That what's it called? Babe, what's it called? Oh, the chicken tips and injera bread. Oh my God. Shout out to Desta. A great restaurant. See them at least once every few months.
There's a real nice Ethiopian spot out on the east side, like off of Claremont,
Mm-hmm.
that I go to every once in a while. Yeah, I gotta head out there.
I need to get back on my I need to be more, because what I think I was on, where was I going? I took an Uber. I don't remember where. I was coming back from my work trip, and on my way home, and African dude picked me up. No, that's wrong. I went to M's, and what was it? Her work dinner,
Christmas party?
no, not the Christmas party,
The Braves game?
Braves game, and this African dude picked me up, and he was asking where I was from and asking where he's from, and I said, oh man, I love your people's food, man. I love Ethiopian and I love Desta. He goes, yeah, Desta's good for Americans. And I was like, damn, what you mean? He's like, man, that's not authentic.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean? The owner, the cooks, the waitresses,
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, but it's not authentic.
That's kind of like some Chinese spots sometimes, like what's being served
Yeah.
to customers isn't really necessarily what the owners eat themselves every day.
I think for the most part, it's like an American style.
Yeah.
Like a Tex-Mex version of Asian food.
Yeah, because I don't think not too many people are going to a Jamaican spot asking for a mannish soup. You know.
Facts. Yeah, I mean, half the things my mother makes,
You know,
I won't find.
I gotta find a Nigerian restaurant on the west side, man. Like, if anybody's listening and you know of a Nigerian restaurant on the west side, hit me up, please.
That would be dope.
Yeah.
Please, by all means, our fans, feel free to reach out to us and send us a message. We're always good about food.
Yeah, man.
We always want to try new stuff. You know what I mean? That's what makes us the foreign millennial.
Not trike though. I ain't doing trike.
Nah.
My dad scared me off the trike years ago when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was, and it's just this white, squishy looking thing in a pot that he was cooking, bruh. Nauseous for days.
Yeah, no. It's the same thing. I have my limitations on manishwata, goat head soup, them something that I can't do it. I seen a video of a guy who he had goat head soup.
Yeah.
And he had the what did he have? He had the nose.
Oh, okay.
The nose was in the soup.
Yeah.
And he's looking at the camera. He said, "I want to see this nastiness. See a piece of nose in my soup. Why do I eat something?" And he just sits and he licks the nose. He said, "It tastes good though." Yeah. No, I have
our people, man.
I have my limits. I think we were just talking about before we started recording that what was it? Chitlins. Nah, man. I don't.
What have you had chitlins before?
I have had chitlins before.
Same.
I will say this. It's I don't want to say it does taste good, but the fact that it's intestines,
What it is, yeah.
you know what I mean? Now I will say when I really do enjoy it is when I eat what's the Mexican soup? It's called menudo. And menudo's I want to say it's chitlins.
Yeah.
Or I think it's the stomach of the pig.
I pass.
Could be wrong. But it's look, man. Look. That's where I'm okay with it because you can't tell.
Yeah.
The smell of menudo is by far just as bad, if not worse, than chitlins. But the taste, it's
I had chitlins one time in college. I used to work for the campus's mailroom.
Yeah.
And so it'd be a thing. Like anybody who's brand new to working in the mailroom, they'll treat us to chitlins. And that was my opportunity, man. I doused that thing in so much hot sauce, dog. But yeah, and once you walk in, to your point, the smell just hits you. It's overbearing, honestly.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of those things where you got to kind of question what the hell someone's eating.
Yeah, man.
But I always say, usually when you find ethnic people food, anyway, people of color, their food, unless you're used to it. If you're not used to it, it's gonna smell pretty nasty to you until you taste it.
Yeah.
That's why you find a lot of people outside of each culture is hesitant to try the food because to them it smells like ass.
Yeah.
To us, our food, oh my God.
Yeah. I don't particularly like the smell of goat while it's being cooked. But after it's done, Nigerian style though, bruh.
That's the thing is goat to me. I know when I was a kid, it smelled nasty to me.
Yeah.
It tastes amazing.
Yeah.
It's very pungent.
Mm-hmm.
It was just nasty. But as I got older, the smell it just signified greatness. I know, oh my God.
But shout out to Curry Goat.
Goat. No goat head soup. Goat.
Yeah, right.
Man.
Yo, but we got a guest, or we are a guest.
Yeah.
But we have guests of the podcast, and do you want to do the introduction?
Yeah,
guests, do y'all want to come introduce yourselves?
We're the guest within a guest because we're the guest in a home.
Yeah.
But then we also have a guest / teaming up with.
Right.
Well, I'm not going to go ahead and introduce. I'm going to allow this individual who's been on the show before.
Yep. Sister of the podcast.
The sister, the yard picnic, the other Samuel's child.
She episode 40?
She was episode 40. Yeah, I think she was. If
not,
not,
you just making that
The
up.
30 special.
It was the 30
Yeah.
30 for 30. It was the 30
Pictures
for 30.
with
Yes, it
30.
was.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that was a long time ago.
It was summer.
That was a while ago. Well, without further ado, I'm gonna have Miss Eliana Samuels jump in on the mic, and she's gonna tell you a little bit about herself once again, if you're not familiar with her, and then she's also going to talk about her brand, which is amazing and doing big things.
Yep.
All right, Leslie, you're up.
Have
a seat.
I wasn't expecting this. I feel like I'm a guest to y'all's amazing platform with 4 millennials, but thank y'all for coming. So today, as my brothers have said, we are teaming up with 4 millennials and Doses of Doyenne. So for those of you that don't know about Doses of Doyenne, I think several months ago, I decided, I wanted to join a women's group where, you could feel comfortably vulnerable to share experiences, learn from other women, and grow together. And I kept waiting for an opportunity to present itself. And finally, it was just like, man, why am I waiting? Why don't I just create it? Mm-hmm. And so I just went with it and just randomly put a post up to see who would want to come to a meeting and, sharing experiences with me. And we had an overwhelming response. So I was very grateful for that. And a lot of crying and laughing happened at that first meeting. So we've just kind of been going ever since. We meet once a month, typically around the middle of the month, and we talk about everything that a woman can go through, all the hard times, but even better, the best times that we have, be it marriage and having children and getting promoted and, but the struggles that come with that as well, right? So sometimes it can be a good, bad situation and you may feel like you're going at it alone, and you come into a room full of empowering women and figure out, hey, I'm not alone in this, and we've created new friendships. It's been awesome. So that's what Doses of Doyenne is all about. And I know your next question is probably about the name. What is Doyenne? Doyenne is a woman who embodies the one thing she's very passionate about and goes forward in it. And so doses comes from conversations. You get a dose of something from every woman that is a Doyenne, that wants to be a Doyenne, or learn from a Doyenne. So Doses of Doyenne. That's where I got that from. So
that's an amazing title.
That's dope.
So what's obviously with motivating and having discussions and teaming up with women.
Yeah.
What are some of the testimonials that you've heard? Obviously, with having a platform like that, you find a level of vulnerability comes with it, which is the point, right? You want to have those conversations.
Yeah.
What testimonies can you speak to? Obviously, you don't have to say names.
Right.
What experiences have you heard about?
Yeah.
Being women, struggles, prosperities, things like that.
Yeah. So it's actually a really great question. I'll actually start with me. As you know, my brother has only known me my whole life. And while I aspire to, I'm always on a mission to do something, I'm also a very private person. And so in starting this group, I myself have been able to open up more, even inviting people to my house. I was that person that never shared my address with people. So it was a big step for me to invite people into my home. And now I'm at the place where it's like, hey, that's not that bad. So that was a big step for me. That may be like whatever to somebody else, but to me, that was a major step. As far as one of my group members that I feel like we almost broke down together, but she was struggling in her workforce. She was struggling with the confidence to go after that next step in her career, even though she knew that she could, but she would question herself every step of the way, like literally look up a requisition for a job and try to compare herself to the next man or next person.
Imposter syndrome.
Yes. And we actually spoke about it in the group. So it's like a man will look at job qualifications and it could be 10 things that they see that they have to have. And as long as you guys see one that you qualify for, you hit submit. A woman tries to match all 10 things. And if there's one that she doesn't, she won't apply for it. So we talk through those things, like, why don't we share that same confidence? So that lady has gone for that job that she wanted and she got it. So that was, so that was one of the things that came from this group that I'm super excited about. Yeah.
Super dope.
Yeah.
Thanks again for having us, sharing your space with us. We really appreciate it. Sister of the podcast, so you're more than welcome to hop on whenever you want. Just hit us up and we'll make it happen.
Thank you guys.
Well,
More
big-
sisters come.
There you go. And slowly but surely, we're gonna have more and more guests that are gonna speak in on the conversation that we're having today.
We got producer T in the house.
Yes.
We got your boy Ryan. We need to go ahead and just give Ryan a producer title as well too. I mean,
We might as well
I think-
because I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, producer Ryan.
Producer Ryan here.
Shout out to Ryan Carter. At Carter Ryan on Instagram, Ryan
Yep.
Carter on Facebook. He's actually our videographer today.
Carter
So
Ryan.
right now he's out here getting some epic pictures. He's got video recording. It's a big debut for him because he's got a fitness thing going on. I don't even need to explain
Hey
it.
man, come on, bro.
I know we know he's recording right now. He's taking pictures, but brother, you might as well just come in and go ahead and talk about yourself and what you got going on because big things happened this morning, bro. Talk about it. Be about it. Let's go.
Just real quick. It was kind of an impromptu thing that I was asked to do maybe about 3 weeks ago at the Ron Clark Academy. I don't know if I can really say that out now, but Ron Clark Academy just had the opportunity to instruct maybe about 20 kids this morning in a workout. Just basic stuff, man. Mountain climbers, running in place, push-ups, lunges, squats, type of thing that going into it, all of them say, I'm strong, I can do this, it's nothing, it's easy. And then 10, 15 minutes in, it was kind of like, hey, bro, this is too much, man. We need to, I'm ready to go do something else. I'm ready to get on some video games or something. So,
Get on this Fortnite.
yeah, but it was just a great experience, man. I'm hoping that more things can come out of it. Like they said, I'm also shooting a couple pictures and some videos here. Now just trying to just expand on what I'm doing as a whole. It's always good to have your hands in a lot of different things. And,
Big things.
Dog, plug your YouTube.
Oh, my YouTube,
That's
man.
as important, if not more.
I just launched a YouTube not too long ago. I don't even know how you. It's my name, Carter Ryan. Carter Ryan, maybe 1986. Get back to me in about 5 minutes, man. I'll look that up and get the exact channel.
You a bum.
Hey man, look, I literally just shooting links, man.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I'm doing all of this. So, Instagram is definitely at Carter Ryan _ Paul left that out. You gotta have the underscore at the end. And Twitter the same thing. Facebook is just Ryan H. Carter. So that's about it.
That's what's up, man. So you got the camera game going right now.
I'm trying to do a little
We're warming up the conversation before we get into it. We're gonna have some more ladies that are gonna join us in a second.
I'm with it.
The homie Ryan got the video going. We got
You know
the T.
Appreciate
Get
y'all.
some more social media going. It's gonna be epic, man. We got Facebook Live. So again, for those who are currently live with us, if you're on Instagram, if you're on my page, if you're on someone else's Instagram watching, jump in on our Facebook. We have a questionnaire that's up. We'll have producer producer. I can't talk. I did that. We have producer T, who will check out the messages, see what kind of questions you guys have.
Been on that drink a little too hard, bro.
I had them with some Crown and Coke, bro. Some Crown and Coke.
What did we say last episode? He drives fast, but he sips slow. Looks like he's sipping fast today.
That seems right. We have a quick question. Carter Ryan, we got the homie John now asking what he's shooting with. So I'm guessing the question is what kind of camera are you using?
Yeah, it looks like a Canon.
There's a Canon.
Canon?
Entry level basic Canon.
Man, that's okay. What's the model number? You don't know?
He don't know.
Yeah, it is.
Give me 5 minutes, man. I'm gonna get y'all all these answers.
I will say this. I will say this about my boy Ryan.
It's a basic cam.
Yeah.
It's either way, it's gonna get the job done.
No, but I get the answer here in like
That's
maybe
okay.
2 minutes.
He'll do the Googles, or he'll open the back up and check the serial number to let you know, John. Now, so we got you. So yeah, man. So today's conversation, which we'll get into it a little bit, as Du and I have a quick conversation. We'll catch up about what we're up to, and then we'll get into the conversation as more of our guests show up.
Yep.
But the premise of the show today is man, we're gonna go in. We're gonna have a great conversation about dating, both in the past and in 2019.
Should be
Big
interesting.
topic. huge perspectives, both
Yeah.
male and female.
Also, you gotta include generational things.
Oh yeah,
As well too.
absolutely.
Because with the two of us, we're a little bit on the older millennial side.
The originals.
Yeah, compared
Madonna.
to some of the folks in Generation Z and so forth. Dating is a little bit different. So expectations are a little bit different as well too.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm taking an internal bet in my head on who's going to say the most controversial thing so far. And
Ooh.
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, no more vaping. No, forgot. So no, don't need to apologize. I honestly did not realize you were coming. My bad. So sorry.
we have a little one baking right now.
We're just gonna go ahead and put that somewhere. No more vaping. It's all right. Sorry for my vapors out there. So yeah, no more. Sorry, all love.
No, did I tell you I finished Into the Spider-Verse?
You finally did.
Yeah, man.
Be caught up.
When I tell you, this is probably the best Spider-Man movie ever.
Big
Like,
facts.
hands down.
Speak the truth.
Yeah, and the fact that a brother directed it, and I want to say wrote it as well too. You can tell because it was very, very nuanced.
Yep.
Not only from the perspective of like what it's like to be next black kid in Brooklyn, but like from the clothing to the music that was played, to a lot of the language that was being used. They did an amazing job, man. So shout out to the entire team. Shout out to Sony and shout out to Marvel.
Absolutely. I gotta ask you though, man, because with Marvel films, do you think that a Marvel film will be successful without a Stan Lee cameo?
Yeah.
You think so?
I think it's going to be different. So I'll say that.
Because he plays an intricate role. I mean, I wouldn't say intricate. That's much. I mean, obviously a cameo is a cameo. So,
Yeah.
there's the story arc doesn't change because of his presence. But we always anticipate his presence. Like it's an expectation and has been for what, 15 years, 20 years since X-Men? Because he wasn't in X-Men, the original.
He was not in X-Men. But you know what's some sweet, sweet poetry though? Is the fact that I believe his cameo in Homecoming, the next Spider-Man film dropping in July, is his last Marvel cameo. And to have that character be the one where this is his final appearance, to me, man, that just kind of gives me all the warm fuzzies inside.
A little mushiness on the inside, drop a tear for Stan Lee. Yeah, and the reason I ask is that's been a conversation that's come up before.
Yeah.
Is it can a film? Because obviously the last 10 or 11 years.
Yeah.
Stan Lee's been in pretty much every Marvel film, I think all of them.
I lost my shit when I saw him at the craps table.
Oh shit!
In Black Panther.
Oh man! When he showed up, he just came off the left side of the screen. I was like, this guy, this dude. Yeah, it's Into the Spider-Verse was really dope. I'm glad you finally caught up with it.
Yep.
I just downloaded. I paid for.
There you go.
For new Justice League film called animated film called Justice League versus the Fatal Five, and it's original '90s art.
Oh wow!
So Kevin Conroy's back. I forget the voice actor for Superman. Like it's that original animation style from like the '90s. Yeah, it's dope. Wow. It's pretty dope. Spider-Man.
You're gonna have to send that to me.
Yeah,
send
that to you in a legal format.
Right.
Yo,
can we talk Game of Thrones?
No.
Yes. You know what? Since someone said no fucking.
Oh wait, am I gonna spoil something?
Actually, I'm just kidding.
No,
everybody's talking Game of Thrones.
Is anybody Game of Thrones fans in here?
Oh, I'll join this conversation.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Emma.
We know that because she about to go in. But anybody else? Is anybody else Game of Thrones?
Sorry.
No. So if we spoil some stuff, y'all not gonna be upset.
Never seen
Team, you good?
Never seen an episode.
What, Team?
Never seen it.
Nothing.
Get
Get your life together. Get your
We
life
had
together.
around Christmas time.
Shout out to the Targaryen. But Game of Thrones is back, season 8.
It's so bad.
It's look, I ain't
It's
gonna
8
lie.
years coming.
So look. I was not a fan of Game of Thrones, but maybe 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember.
And I was completely opposed to it because I thought it was some Lord of the Rings. And we talked about it before. Some Lord of the Rings, some Harry Potter type shit.
It is. It still is.
And the writers
Better.
have a really good way of throwing in some shit to reel you in, to the point to where just when you think you get comfortable, they do some shit to reel you right back in.
Right.
Either with some wild sex scene. He doesn't like. Yeah, it's like.
Yeah.
And then whether it's some incest with a brother and a sister, I don't.
Uncle, and
Some uncles
nephew.
and-
I mean, aunt and
Aunt
nephew.
and
Sorry.
just nephew as just all kinds of craziness. But season 8 dropped, and the first episode wasn't like crazy,
Nah.
but I think that's just how they've been doing. They've been doing that the last couple of seasons.
I love the little chumps and stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
Like when so the part when Khaleesi, Jon Snow, they all rolled in and they meet Sansa. And Sansa gives Khaleesi that black woman up and down look. Yo, like
Who is you?
yeah, Sansa's my girl though, man. I'm rooting for her. I'm rooting for Arya. John, man, if he dies, he'll probably come back again. So I'm not worried. I'm not too much worried about him. But yo, if Tyrion dies this series, y'all, look, I'm gonna go call my therapist.
Yeah.
Book maybe 2 sessions that week.
But he's the author's favorite character, so I don't know if they will kill him off.
Yeah.
If they do, it might be the last episode.
Okay.
But
Okay.
the author, when they were creating the series, he said, if I don't have, how was the actor's name? Peter Dinklage?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, if Peter Dinklage does not play Tyrion, you can't do the show.
Wow.
He was like, this is who I want to play Tyrion.
Yeah.
He's my favorite character. So one thing that I love about the show is the writing has a really good way of making you love the villains.
Yes.
Like, Cersei is awful,
She is
but I still
terrible.
really like her.
She's trash.
I don't know what it is. I still don't want her dead. Like, I still want to, like, I obviously love Khaleesi more. I love Arya more. I love, Jon Snow, but I still kind of like Cersei in a weird, messed up way.
From a power dynamic, I think Cersei is probably one of my favorite characters. From a personal standpoint, probably one of my least favorite. But I think she mentioned something season 7, the very last episode, where she was like, the whole time where Dad was talking, I was listening. And so, gaining all that power, gaining all that education on how to really rule, she did that, and she's a woman doing that. So that's one thing about the writing and about that character I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. Jamie needs to die.
No,
Yeah,
I love Jamie.
Jamie needs to die.
Jamie is way too handsome to die. He cannot die.
And that's all women say that.
Oh,
All
he
women
is.
say that. Oh my God.
He's
so
like
fine.
48, 49 in real life.
Yeah, he's old.
He looks good
Yeah,
for 48, 49.
Yeah, he needs to die.
He does.
No.
Jamie.
He can't. He's such a good character. Look at the character development of Jamie. From
Okay.
the first episode to what he is now.
Agreed.
In the first episode, he would have never gone to fight for the North. He would have never done that. But he was like, screw you, Cersei. I'm going to go fight for them.
Yeah, and then his relationship with Brienne of Tarth, I think that's been good.
I love her.
I love low key. Well, not low key. Highs of keys. Bronn is my all-time favorite character. Bronn and the interactions that he has with Jamie, the interactions Bronn has with Tyrion, I love it. He's probably hands down one of my favorite characters.
He's probably going to die soon. Because this is what they do. They create characters that we fall in love with. He's going to die soon because they create a character that we're going to fall in love with that's not super important to the story, but you still love them.
Yeah.
They kill those people.
You think so?
Yeah.
They kill those people in Walking Dead. They kill those people in Game of Thrones.
Who's gonna be the comedy then? Without him, there's no laugh.
I mean, they may not kill him on Sunday. They may not kill him in that episode,
But
but he
eventually
will
he'll
die.
die.
Because they always do that. They're going to kill Tormund, too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love him.
Yeah.
I
You're
love
right.
him. And they're going to kill Brienne.
You think they're gonna kill Lady Mormont?
Wait, who's that?
She's the North, and remember, she's a little girl who says,
Oh, the little girl.
"We
Yeah.
crowned you king of the North, and I don't know what you are."
See, but you know what they said, that there's this theory going around simply because of the way he looks, that Bran is the
King.
Braun or Brandon Stark?
Bran
Okay.
is the Night King,
I've heard that
which
too.
I don't see
that.
how,
Yeah.
because his presence in Winterfell and the Night King's presence at the Ice Wall were at the same time.
Yeah.
So I can see it, but for him to be able to move that quickly, ride on a dragon,
It's kind of out there.
it's kind of out
Well,
there.
because
But
they said he like has the ability to go in the future, go in the past, and all that stuff. So they're like, maybe he's like stuck in some type of time loop. It got really, really geeky.
Yeah.
Like, really fast.
I've also heard that Khaleesi is going to die and come back as a White Walker because of the foreshadowing in the first episode of her wearing that all white fur coat. That Jon will kill her. Because remember, he killed Ygritte, or he didn't kill Ygritte, but he was there when she died.
Yeah.
And she only died because of him, because she had that arrow pointed at him. And the
Yeah.
little boy Ollie killed him.
Ollie.
Killed her, I'm sorry. Yeah, he sucks. But that little boy killed her because she was pointing the arrow at Jon. So technically it's Jon's fault that she died.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then there's a lot of foreshadowing because do you remember when Ygritte and him were in the cave?
Okay. Yeah.
And she said, I could stay here forever with you. I never want to leave this cave.
Yeah.
Okay, when Khaleesi and Jon were at the waterfall in the first
yeah.
episode, she goes, I could stay here for 1,000 years with you.
I didn't catch that. You're
There was
right.
a lot, and I've only caught a lot of these things because I've done research.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I've started following all the actors, and I started following all the fan pages, and I started reading like the foreshadowing and stuff that had happened. I went back and watched the very first episode of the series,
Mm-hmm.
and it made way more sense than the first time I
When
watched
we
it.
thought Ned Stark was a hero.
Right. And you know, I was watching that first season, and I was talking to a girl she was a little bit further than me. She's like, oh, you know, Ned Stark dies. And she's like, but you got to that point, right? And I was like, what? And she goes, I'm just kidding. But then I was like, oh, okay, she was messing with me. And then I see it, and I'm like, oh my God. And she goes, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to like screw that up for you.
Yeah.
So I tried to play it off, but you didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah.
You didn't
Right.
see that coming at all.
y'all are a bunch of
I
This
love it though, man.
I love that I've actually found something I can nerd out on.
Yeah.
I've never been into Harry Potter. I've never been into Game of Thrones. I've never been into Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
But
Wait, you're not in the Marvel?
you know that.
You didn't even get halfway through Black Panther. You're-
Okay, I was tired. Okay, speaking of Marvel,
Yep.
there is a Marvel Villains trivia at Battle and Brew. Do you know where that is?
I know where Battle and Brew is. Yeah, I have a lot of coworkers who go there.
Yeah. Have you been?
I haven't been yet.
I didn't realize that they have all these old school video games in it.
Yep.
It's a gamer bar.
Yeah.
And we went to a Game of Thrones trivia,
Trivia.
which
Okay.
had some pretty, a good eclectic crowd of people, sociable people.
Yeah.
But Game of Thrones crowd is very different than Marvel crowd.
Marvel trivia crowd.
No, right, but still.
There's a Marvel crowd that's just like you guys. I work with a guy who he could come in and fit in with you guys. You guys could talk about sports. You guys could talk about Marvel. You could talk about like work and life and stuff.
Yeah.
He's not super nerdy, but he's very nerdy for
But
Marvel.
Marvel fans typically who go to these events are not like within the last 10 years. These are guys who've had like social issues and heavy introverts and can do calculus and academic, like super nerdy cats who be at this thing. Like that's what I'm saying.
The nerdy I was trying to avoid.
Yeah.
I was a kid.
Like we were
I hung
at
out with those kids.
we were at the festival. We were
You're like
sitting
trading
right at the
Pokemon
top.
cards at
And we
lunch.
could have gone completely left and just fallen off the grid, but we were like, no, we're gonna put on some muscle and stay attractive.
Yeah.
Like we went in that route, but most people who are Marvel fans,
I was this close.
Bruh.
Literally this close.
my mother would tell you, I have boxes of Marvel comics. I was borderline like going to cut myself off from society because I was nerding out. And sorry, Ma, in advance.
You never
Like,
have your mom on the show. You
I
should have her
don't.
come say hi.
Mama, you want to?
She right now. She busy.
But my mom is here too.
In a moment.
My mother's being shy. But Mom, just letting you know in
You're
advance,
twins.
as I begin to have some sips of this drink and we start getting into this discussion, I may drop a couple words that you may not approve of. So I love you
Come
dearly.
right here, right
Just
here.
don't kill me in the process.
I like that
Is she coming to my right or my left?
Right
Hey,
here.
you're right.
Oh crap, my mother's coming on the show. Everybody, this is my mother, and she's beautiful and fine. And if you're older, if you're over the age of 50, and I find out you send her a message, so we'll execute you on
You have to add her.
Mother, please say hello.
Hello.
Why you say it so? Hello.
That's
Yes.
the mature voice.
That is not the mature. That's I'm sexy, I'm young, I'm cute.
No, it's the I'm
Yes,
beautiful, I'm
yes.
lovely, I'm angelic.
Yes, I'm
hello.
lovely. I want attention. Go ahead. Talk. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Ellen and I'm his mother. I'm here to see him do his thing. He laughs.
I can't promise that, Mom. I will do my
That'll
best.
be him, not me. I usually do no cursing on the show.
That's true. I do everything. I'm a potty mouth. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that all you got?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Don't want to
Tom.
embarrass you.
Audience, you have no idea how tough that was. I was just waiting for something like really embarrassing to pop up. It just scared us. Anyway.
Real love.
Right. So real quick, guys, we're about to get into it. Ladies, everyone who's here, I think we're in preparation for our main topic. I know the audience has been waiting. We've been holding a quick conversation. We've got a lot of feedback coming in.
Yo, producer Chris. What up?
Producer Ryan and producer T, we've got some comments through Facebook. For those listening in, the reason we're doing the show is yet again dating in past and present. So for those who want to join the conversation, feel free to walk on up. If you would like to be in the conversation, present your argument, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
We have Miss Martini. Hey, wherever you like to sit, you need to be comfortable. So if you want to just walk around until you find a comfortable spot, please do so.
I don't want to block anything.
Stop it.
Man, you got
Stop it. But dating in 2019, dating in the past, generational dating, differences, some perspectives are the same, some are different.
right.
What's our perspective, man? Now, I'm not married anymore.
Yeah.
I've been divorced for, it's a long time, 7 years?
Really?
Yeah, it's been a while. But I'm dating, got a lovely lady now. She's beautiful as all hell.
I don't know if I got too much to add to this. I mean, I'm married. I've been married for 9 years now. Been with
Shout out to me.
Married to my college sweetheart. We've been dating for producer T help me before she kills me. We've been dating for 15 years.
Jay, you better come check this
She's
man.
listening right now.
Married for 9.
Jay, you better come check this man. There's no
What's the
date.
anniversary date?
June 4th.
Oh. Can we fact check that? Is Jay on Facebook
It is.
now?
She saw the face on the
She's got like, she's sitting there like, get it right.
Ooh, man, it's getting a little hot.
Sweating. But regardless, I think dating as a whole, marriage as a whole, I think the foundation is the same.
Yeah.
But in some aspects, the application is different because
Yeah.
society has changed within the last 50 years, especially with the presence of women and their what they're doing in this day and age versus 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it before, right? That women 50 years ago were limited on their presence, especially in the household. You know what I mean? They were typically the housewife, they were the child bearer, they were the cooks, they were the ones that were at home. They weren't really known for their financial progress. They weren't known for being major influencers outside of the home. They just kind of were structured where they were. And that kind of correlates as well to dating back then, right? And even dating back then, and Mom's here and she can kind of speak to it. That, not to say that she was that old back then.
Right.
But she was obviously alive and could see and understand the way of life back then versus now, right?
Yeah.
So dating. I and we can agree to disagree. I will say before I disagree on what the differences are or agree on what the differences are, something as simple as like going out on a date, right? Going out to dinner, right? There seems to be like a mixture of effort equally for the most part.
Yep.
Where you'll find if a couple's been dating for a while, the man may pay for dinner, first couple of times, the relationship then becomes established. and then your lady will pay for a dinner or two, or pay for a date. If it's her idea to go to a movie, she should be like, you know what, let me treat you to a movie out or a dinner out, and she'll pay for everything, right? Whereas maybe 50 years ago, nah.
Yeah, that wasn't expected.
Yeah. But I think, and y'all can, correct me if I'm wrong, I think part of the reason was, I think that dating, when men pay for everything, half of it it's chivalry, half of it is, showing consideration and care and appreciation for the woman, which is great. It's always been like that. But I think a small portion of it, or maybe even a big portion of it, is the expectation is that women can't, or back then, women couldn't bring enough to the table to be able to take a man out.
Back then, women weren't working.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's where that came from.
That's what I'm saying.
The men were working, and the expectation was for the woman to be at home.
Agreed.
So she couldn't pay for dinner. She wasn't getting paid to be a housekeeper.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, and that's what I'm saying is that, but in this day and age, there's left with the impression that, that women shouldn't pay for dinner. I still meet women or have conversations with women, whether it's at work or in passing, where no, I believe the man should pay everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because of
societal
norms and routines, because again, the impression is that women just, for so long, for God knows how long, women just haven't had the financial backing to be able to treat their man to something such as simple as a night out.
So speaking on that, I have a question, right? So back then, the woman wasn't really working, and oftentimes it wasn't a choice. She just wasn't allowed to work, or, at the decision of whomever. So we also have our, I don't want to say feminist, but strong women belief that, in today's world, a woman should get paid as much as a man, right? There's that constant battle. I mean, it still continues today. Back then, when that was kind of set in place of the man getting paid more than the woman, it kind of progressed into today where the woman feels like the man got paid more because people thought the man could do the job better. I feel as though, there's a lot of people that disagree with me, but I feel as though it wasn't the fact that the man could do the job better. It was those same expectancies that the man had to take care of the household and take care of the family as to why, he got paid more. Now, today, I feel like for the woman that, I'm going to say I feel like, I have a question. For the woman that believes that they should get paid as much as a man, can that still be the same woman that believes the man has to take care of everything in the household?
I don't think that she would. I don't think that she would feel that way. I think that she would want things 50-50 and think that she can do just as much as a man can do in the home as well.
In a
logical sense, but then again, that depends on the household that the woman was raised in.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Because if she sees her mother as just simply being the housewife, or the depiction of a woman's position in a relationship in a household, to her, my mother was, my mother didn't do anything. You know what I mean? I have family members that are like that. My grandfather did everything. Everything was in his name. He paid for everything, the house, the cars, the bills, everything. My grandmother stayed at home, and she worked when I was much younger, but for the most part, she really didn't have to do much but be, the housewife. And she was a great grandmother and still is. God rest the soul of my grandfather. But yeah, I mean, there was a traditional practice that, and even to this day and age, even women in our generation who just view men as being the sole provider, that their only presence is, I'm going to take care of the household. But if we go out, you're paying for everything.
Yeah.
So you're saying it can be a woman who is kind of have that dominant type of personality outside of the house when it comes to work, maybe in other relationships, but when at home with her man, with her husband, she's more submissive and would like for him to take care of everything. So you're saying that there could be a situation like that?
It could. From my perspective, I don't know of my mom. She'll tell you, my mother wasn't the type to solely rely on a man. Like, my mom did everything. So when I see that, so for me, I don't have an expectation that if I'm in a relationship with someone, that I don't mind paying for everything. In fact, Emma will tell you, like, it does bother me if I'm not able to take her out to dinner. Whether it's just, whether it's transition a job, if it was at that time, it was just a money issue because I wasn't working, or if I just didn't have the time, it would bother me. But at the same time, I had to, I think also on the flip side for men, we have to remove our pride a little bit, because there is that expectation that society has groomed us to say, I don't care how much money you make. I don't care if you have your own household. I don't care if, you were raised in a household where your mother was a housewife. I need to pay for everything. You know what I mean? But I think we set an expectation that appreciation from a man is only given one way. You know what I mean? And I think that's where the problem is that we also think that when a woman shows her appreciation to a man, society is deemed that as, well, you're going to be a good girlfriend or a good wife. You're going to make sure you're available to me sexually, and you're going to cook for me, and that's it. No, it depends on the person. For me, if you want to take me out once in a while, great.
So basically getting rid of those gender roles, society's gender roles, and
it's left with the impression that women can't. It's left with the impression that women can't take care of a man beyond the four walls of a house.
You say that, but you have a big issue with a woman paying for something for you. You have a huge issue with it.
I have an issue with getting gifts.
No, I said a few weeks ago, I said, I want to go see Dumbo. I'm going to buy the tickets. I just want you to come with me because I want to go see it. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy the tickets. You go, no, I'm buying tickets. And I was like, it's my idea. It's movie I want to see. I want to buy it. No, I'm going to buy the tickets.
I just said that I have it's pride issue. I just said that.
You feel, it makes you feel like, I think some men, and I'm not saying necessarily this is you, but I think some men, when a woman pays for something, it makes them feel less than a man.
Not me. Hey, stand on me. Thank you.
I'm not saying that's you. I'm just saying, like, I think there are some men that just feel almost like they feel wrong accepting any sort of money from a woman when it shouldn't be like.
It could have been how they were raised.
True.
Right? But on the other hand, that situation, I don't understand, because no one saw her buying those tickets. Y'all could have shown up and you went to the ticket machine and got the tickets out. But what I do understand, especially in my current dating, like, I can understand, like, a man that is a manly man and wants to take care of a woman, and he's used to paying for everything, and he may be okay with the fact that his woman is paying for something, but there's other people around seeing his woman pay for him.
Taking out that card.
And so exactly, and that's a hard thing to swallow when you see eyes looking at you, even though you're okay with it. You see those eyes like, damn, like, he gonna let his girl pay for this, and he's gonna let his girl go grab the popcorn from,
my wife slides me her debit card under the table.
Right. So I do that, or like, I'm so embarrassed. If it's I do the same thing. So if it's my turn to pay or my idea, I'll deliberately get cash out. And so I'll put cash so they don't know who paid, or give him the cash or whatever, because there's pride, and like you guys may be okay with it, but I think it's the other eyes watching and make you guys feel a certain way.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily you feeling a certain way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what is?
Especially an older couple or something.
So what is
I don't care.
Producer T.
Well,
I'll be glad to hand her her purse. Go ahead. Baby, go ahead. Thank you so much. I ain't got no pride. Not at all.
But T, that's now though. Like, and you don't have to give us a prime example, but your folks, right? Shout out to the Lewises. They've been married for how long now? 30-something years.
36.
Shout out to the Lewises. 36. Shout out to Papa Lewis. He just recently retired. Shout out to that man. Saw him the other day, looking skinny and grayed up.
Oh boy.
He was healthy. Boy came in to the dealer flexing real hard.
That's a retired.
Came in, man. He's so good. Big ass grin on his face when I saw him. Shout out to Papa Lewis. But no, with your parents, right? And obviously they're not here, so they can't speak to it. But from what you know, are they more traditional in the sense where your dad, when it comes to dating, he pays for everything all the time? Or is it where your dad's cool with letting moms come through and pay for something every now and then? How does that work?
You gotta remember, my pop's cheap. So
Your mom said, "Hey, I'm gonna let you go ahead and pay." Yeah, ain't got no problem. But they are more of the traditional sense. There's no pride though. They've been together 36 years. What they need to be prideful about?
Right.
So they're definitely secure in their relationship because of the longevity.
Was it like that from? Do you know if it was like that from the beginning, or was it something that developed over time?
That I can't.
You can't speak on. Okay, and the only reason I'm asking is because, again, as we discussed, the timeline between 30 years ago or 50 years ago till now, again, you're finding more women are making more money, more women are being prevalent in industry. They're successful independently, or what's deemed more financially successful in comparison to 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
So men are more, to a degree, some men or more men now are accepting of what a woman brings to the table financially to a certain degree than what they were 30 years ago. So that's why I was asking that question was, yeah, like you said, they're more traditional, but I think that those traditional practices in a relationship is what separates from this generation. Because yeah, I mean, women, I'll use Em as an example. She's pretty aggressive with wanting to pay for stuff. Like it's like, like it's a little. I'm a little like.
You're intimidated?
Because no, I'm not intimidated. I'm more like I have to check myself.
Okay.
Because it's like I've never been challenged financially. Because she's like the first woman I've ever dated or been in a relationship with that like matches me.
Doesn't need
in my
you.
year, who doesn't need me. You know what I mean? So it's like damn, that just hurts saying that too.
It doesn't? Why? That's so good to hear.
Why? First of all, I'm sorry. It does because it's weird. Because you go from being raised by an independent woman who
That's why we like
clearly
it, right?
provides everything for you. Not that you don't want to provide, it's just you're a kid, so you know you just can't. So then when you get into that position to where you can, it's like, well, now it's my turn. And so now it's my turn, and this is what I've been doing to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Now it's like, damn, like you can literally match me in everything. It's like shit. Like,
But I think that's
power.
We have power together.
I'm not knocking it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I
It's
think
just
she wanted
weird.
to level up though, right? Because you don't have a level of complacency because it's like, okay, cool, my woman's here or my man's here. All right, let's challenge ourselves to get to the next level.
But it's weird.
So you're always going to be chasing something.
I mean, if you want to pay for my rent, I'll let you.
She jumped all the way in.
But the thing is, it's like you dated dudes, and that literally was like, yo, you got a little bit of debt. I'm gonna throw something at you real quick.
Yeah, I dated a guy that said it was embarrassing that I was working 2 jobs to pay off debt. He said it was very embarrassing. And I said, okay, so I was joking. But I said, okay, so I can't just quit my job. That doesn't make sense. He's like, well, then I'll pay your debt off for you. I was like, cool, how much are you going to give me? Just kind of playing along, still thinking he's joking. And he goes, we'll start with $5K and go from there. And I was like, what do I have to do to get that $5K? Like, I'm going to be indebted to you, and I'm not, like, yeah, technically, like, there's not paper saying that I owe you money, but you're going to hold that over my head, just like the bank holds it over my head that I owe them money. And so I was like, no.
But the thing is, go ahead.
No, that kind of has me thinking, often things that I kind of see, particularly on social media more than anything, and I don't know if this is a generational thing, but it seems like, and don't hate me, ladies, there's a level with some women, there's a level of expectation of men having to provide finances, even if they're not together. Like, so I see a lot of times where women will have like, and this is professional women, not any, random people, but it's like they'll have their Cash App in their bio. And it's like the expectation is like guys. And I see this in the dating world. It's like, okay, well, yeah, we can date, but what are you bringing to me financially? So it's just like, it's kind of weird to me. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to get your perspective on that. It's like, is that a generational thing, or is that something just like new and popped up?
Yeah, and it's interesting to you, but there's some men that fall for it.
Yeah. No, yeah.
That's
do.
true. That makes a good point. Like if someone tried it and a man went for it, for a woman that's in that mentality that's just willing to take, what's gonna stop her from doing it again and seeing if she can make it happen again, right? Mm-hmm. So but that also raises another good question. If you guys had more input on that. So I find it interesting, and I've talked about this in our sessions before. I find it interesting that, to your point, a woman comes to the table with so many expectations of a man, be it, oh, you gotta have, X amount of money in the bank and make Y amount of money at your job and drive this kind of car. But yet you don't even have any of that.
Right.
Like none of it. Like,
Speak the truth.
so I have a problem, and I think that's a generational thing, and I also think it comes from societal issues and social media, right?
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
like you see all these people driving Mercedes and 30-inch weave, and and I don't know how these. Never mind, let me not say that. But they have all these expectations from men, or opposite too, right? A man will be like this, a woman has to look like this, have this kind of body, but you ain't been in the gym in 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
Since high school.
Right. Right, and that was a requirement. It was a weight training class, So I just think that's another issue we have today. People just wanting to be kept women or kept men, because they do exist. I've been there. And it's
these guys' names.
I'm just letting it ride. I'm like, either she's gonna drop it.
I know.
If it's someone you're currently dating, I get that.
it's not someone I'm currently dating. Please, no, never. But in the past, yes. Nah, bro. But no, I just think that's a major issue. I think it's a bigger issue than people even realize, especially when we have these 6, 17, 18-year-olds that are attracted to these 24, 25-year-old men, and when they don't get what they want, they yell rape, or get them in trouble and stuff like that. So, and I've seen it happen. Like, nothing happened to you. You just didn't get what you wanted. So now you're trying to mess up somebody else's life. So I just think that's a really, really, really big issue that needs to be talked about.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Kirsten.
I was just gonna say, and it puts these.
Come on, mama. Come on. we got Mrs. Miss Ryan Carter in the building. Go ahead.
It's Mrs.
Mrs. Is it Mrs.?
Yes, when you're
See, I've been married a
it's
long time. I've messed that whole thing up. I know, man.
But I was just gonna say what Ellie was saying. It puts these unrealistic expectations on these young men, because they're thinking, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And now I have to try to attain these unrealistic goals in order to get a woman.
Yeah.
So I have to try to make $100,000 a year by 24.
Right.
Or 23 or something like that.
Yep.
And that takes a while to get. Let's look at the statistics. Let's look at the economic rates in whatever states and cities.
Right.
So, if these girls are coming to the table with that, and some of these girls may have came from nothing,
Right.
but you're expecting to get a man, the world.
Yeah.
So, and these guys are, they might be dealing with issues, and and that's why probably a lot of these younger people are staying single for so long, or don't have real relationships nowadays. And that's another discussion about the type of relationships nowadays. We don't have a lot of titles.
Yeah, like, what are we? Like, I see that a lot with the younger generation. It's like, I guess it's maybe understood, but I know me coming up, I'm a 35-year-old man. I remember having to ask a girl. Yeah, I am old.
You're one to talk.
Why you gotta put me up like that?
Yeah,
He's older than me. He's currently old. Anyway,
But I remember, having to ask a girl, so do you want to be my girlfriend now?
Yeah.
Like, this generation is just like, we're just kicking it. I don't know. It's just
See where it goes.
Keep in mind too, guys. Back to what Kirsten was saying. Yeah, in this day and age, it's not even so much of the title; it's the number that goes along with the title. So, if, for an example, social media, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all real quick. Women, I've seen these memes where it's like, if you see a guy who's 5'11" and the guy who's 6 feet. The guy who's 5'11" is a midget. The guy who's 6 feet is like 7 feet tall. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you have to be that number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or for an example, back to what Kirsten was saying, it's like, yeah, okay, your marriage quality. Yeah, you've got great fatherly type personality traits and characteristics, but do you make $120K a year?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
30, 40, 50 years ago, it's like, okay, well, you're in your 20s, so you finish college. It's like you're going to build a career, but you need to get married first. You need to make sure you buy the house. And then things numerically will build over time, whether you're short or you're tall. There was definitely a lot more structure. However, back then, the expectation for relationships was simply that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be married.
Yeah.
It wasn't even about understanding one another. It was just simply we're going to understand each other over time. But society says that we must have the house, the suburbs, the kids, the marriage, and whatever.
Right.
And if you're unhappy, you stay married. Where in this day and age, this generation's like, yeah, we don't have a title, but that's because things are kind of a little more complicated right now. I am a man, and I'll use Steve Harvey as an example. On his show, shout out to Steve Harvey. This was, I think Em and I, we saw this on Facebook where there was a lady that came to the show and she said that she was engaged and they were set to get married at some point in time in the following year. And then he backed out, right? He backed out of the engagement. And she was weary that he wasn't into her, or
He still wanted to be with her.
He still wanted to be with her. He
wanted
wanted to go to church with her.
He wanted to like kind of prolong everything, just not get married the next year.
Exactly. And so when she brought the scenario to Steve, Steve made some valid points, which what pertains to a lot of men nowadays. It was like, well, he was like, no, you got to understand the way a man thinks. Is he wants to make sure that all his ducks are in a row, all his shit is together. He wants to make sure that, maybe he wants to make a certain amount of money in order to match you or contribute more than you could in case of an emergency, or, he wants to make sure that he's able to, when the time comes, to be able to afford. He wants to get all these things done first.
Can't you do that while
you can? No, you can. And that's what I'm saying, is that you can, based on what society had deemed a while back, because it was done back then. Yeah. But in this day and age, right, things are a little bit more independent. Men and women are both contributing or trying to contribute equally. And if a man feels that he's not able to match the woman that he's with, he's not going to make that next step. Versus back then, it doesn't matter. I'm the man. I'm the one who's going to provide anyway. Yeah. So we might as well get married and have kids.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Definitely does. I want you to touch on Shadu's point of titles. For me, I'm very weary of titles in the beginning, because I have high skepticism about men being authentic to what they tell me. And I think it's very hard to prove that someone has, great financial stability or a great father or great family person in 60 days. So I know where I'm at in life and where I aspire to be in life, and I'm nowhere close to where I want to be. So if I'm agreeing to have someone take that journey with me, I want to make sure that they actually are who they say they are. So, and it's just from my own experience, right? If things had always been roses and tulips, the entire dating time in my, dating career, I guess, then I wouldn't have the skepticism. But I've been hurt, I've been put through some stuff. So now it's like, whoa, let's push the brakes a little bit. Don't post a picture of me just yet. Don't say Ella's your girlfriend just yet.
Do you like privacy?
No, we talked about that. But not only just privacy, but really just just want to make sure.
Got your guard up a little bit.
Yeah, I have my guard up a little bit, but it's like I feel like it's when you're in a relationship, it's a team, right? So you just want to make sure you're here, like you're on the same playing field. And I have the same respect for them. I don't want to post you and claim you until you really know who you're dealing with. I got an attitude problem sometimes. I got family first, Sunday dinner, don't mess with it. Like, I got things that are important to me, and if you can't work with that, then I need to know that before you're starting to claim me. Because then when you post pictures on Facebook, Instagram, and 2 months later you got to take it down, like, that's not cool. So that's where my skepticism kind of comes from, and I know that's where other people's skepticism comes from, but you're right. There are a lot of people that's just like, excuse me, I want to play the field, and I'm not going to let you claim me yet. I'm not going to claim you, because then they let the door swing both ways. Like, I can do what I want.
And it's like,
that's not why I do it though.
It's like, I think too, like with our generation, everyone's always looking for something better too. Some people don't want to settle down because they're like, oh, something better might come along. Versus actually putting in the work into that relationship. and making that relationship the best one you've had.
That's true. There is truth to that.
There's some people, and I'm just saying there's like both ways.
There is.
There's some people who want to be more private, yes.
Right.
And then, but sometimes when you're dating somebody too, it's hard to distinguish what that person really is. Is this the person that's trying to play the field and trying to find something better? Well, you're not going to find anything better, but is there going to be, is that person going to
That
know
was directed at you.
I was like, how am I gonna have a rebuttal for this?
No, you just be quiet.
So are we just relationship coaches right now?
Let them ride.
I can use examples of other scenarios.
No, there are
I'm
people.
not gonna use mine.
Oh my God. There are people out there who do go both ways, and it is sometimes hard to distinguish that until you really get to know that person.
True. Now, granted, keep in mind too, and I always use society as a standstill for what decisions people make in and out of relationships. And so when you find where, again, I mean, marriage statistics have shown that marriage now is taking place more in the 30s than it was in the 20s. I'm sorry, in your 30s versus when you were in your 20s.
That's your thing.
Yeah, see the young skin there. No, but no, I mean, like, yeah, people are getting married now in their mid-30s, having kids in their mid-30s.
Or later.
Or later, right? And part of the reason is because, to your point, people are still trying to figure out what they want. Part of the reason why they're trying to figure out what they want is because most people nowadays, especially in the 30s, have had, 2 or 3 different jobs with 2 or 3 different companies and have switched careers 2 or 3 different times. So their professional lives are constantly looking for something more and different. And so they then correlate that same effort into the relationships. Whereas again, back then, you came out of high school, the company that you started working with was the company that you most likely were going to retire with, unless the company went under and they laid you off and you had no choice, right? So because you had that same routine structure, you're going to do the same thing in your relationship. And so that's why back then people weren't looking for more options, because they figured once they got the first option, that was it. So in this day and age, that's where you're finding a lot of that, where both men and women, especially social media, has provided an open window for you to see the options that you have. Life now is no longer locally. It is no longer it's no longer the unknown. Back then, if you wanted to experience life, you literally had to go out and look for it. And the effort and the time it took to go and experience life took years, versus now you can get a glimpse of life by flicking through a social media feed.
You can get a relationship.
From social media. So it's like, all right, so I had one this week. I'm gonna flick to the right and get another one next week. Whereas back then, it's like the moment you saw a beautiful woman, that was it. To you, in the back of your mind, there is no one more beautiful. You see what I'm saying? So, not to say that it's right. I'm just saying that that's just.
That's why there's skepticism.
I think it's a millennial thing, because like earlier you were saying like we want things ready made, and like with millennials we try to hack everything to the point to where it's like we're not like our parents anymore. We're not going to stay at the company for 30 years and only like get maybe one promotion or maybe one increase every once in a while. We're going to see what else is out there, and like you said, we look at relationships the same way. We see, okay, this person has this based on the outward appearance, what I'm seeing on social media, whatever they're presenting. So you know what? Let me leave what I have now and pursue that. That's a millennial thing.
And sometimes too, and also if you look at both relationships, and then we'll separate and also add marriage, right? So for an example, you may be in a committed relationship with someone, we'll say, again, the older generation, you knew her for 6 months, you dated for 6 months, you courted her for 6 months, boom, you were married. Now it could take 3 years. Some people have been in relationships for 5 years. You know what I mean? Because now we're paying off more debt.
I was gonna say, there's like people in $80,000, $100,000 of school debt. I don't know what the debt was back then, but I mean that's a lot. That's a lot, in this day and time. So when you're looking at a man or even a woman that's looking to settle down and get married and have children, but they got $100,000 hanging over their head. Like I personally think about that. I'm very grateful for my mom, helping me through school, paying for my undergrad and me paying for my MBA, because I'm very well aware that I wouldn't have this house or what I had if I had student debt hanging over. So it does set you back having that debt hanging over you, because I wouldn't be able to acquire the things that I do have if I had that debt, alongside me. So I think that's something that often goes forgotten too. When you have that woman that's like, I want this man with the Benz. Well, this man just graduated with a master's degree. He's driving that 1995 Corolla or Camry because he's paying for his education. He may be making six figures, but he's decided to be financially responsible and pay for his debt first. But you don't even want to go on a first date with him because of the car he drives.
I think one thing too, kind of going back to Steve Harvey, did I interrupt you?
Yeah.
No,
No,
one thing that Steve Harvey says is, I think it's Steve Harvey, it's someone kind of prominent like that. He said, you should never ask something from a man. He's obviously directing it to women. You should never ask something from a man that you can't buy for yourself.
Oh,
And
you were
I
talking
live
about the
by that.
episode where she bought
like
shoes or
6,000
something like that.
Like $1,000 shoes.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
$2,000 shoes.
Yeah.
And her husband was furious. And she's like, I don't know why he's so mad. He said, I could go buy some shoes. And he said, can you afford those shoes on your salary? And she was like, no. And he was like, you're spending his money and you didn't even ask him on the price tag. And so, and it's funny, I used to work with a girl that she would straight up, if she was here right now, she would tell you, yeah, I don't date a man unless he's at least 6'2" and makes $100K. Yet she was making $30K when I worked with her, and that was 2 years ago.
But that's also a girl that's okay if she gets cheated on, as long as she gets the lifestyle. She wants the house, the car. She doesn't care what happens.
She wants the presentation.
She wants the presentation.
I remember she
And
came.
she's the one that wants the title.
I don't even know if she cares about that.
No, I think she
In
does.
public, maybe.
Because she wants to be claimed.
Yep, she always has a boyfriend.
Let's take it a step further. Some people's family want that of them.
Oh yeah.
Well, her
They want
mom's
them
just
to be
like
with
that.
someone, right?
Her mom's
They
just
want
like
them to
that.
marry
Her mom's
someone, right?
So that's the norm for her.
Yeah.
That's how you act as a woman to her. And she came to my birthday a few years ago, and I remember I got so many comments from other friends like, I wish you wouldn't have invited her because she was so awful. All she talked about was herself. All she talked about was the doctor that she went on a date with and the lawyer that was texting her, and like that's her identity.
Yeah.
Mine's always like her identity is in these men that make this money.
Mind you, the women in this room, those are the type of women we're competing against, right? Because they make themselves so easily available and accessible that when work is that simple to get, and we're going to be a little more work, a little more of a challenge to get to know and be able to take home, of course you're going to take what's easier until you get to that maturity level of, no, that's too easy. You know what I'm saying?
It takes a while.
It takes a while, which means that explains why we're not getting into a real relationship until we're 32, 33, 34, because we're competing with the maturation level of men and women that don't hit until a certain age. And so it just prolongs a healthy relationship. I just feel like, because I've seen it. I've seen, let's face it, I've been cheated on. I've seen what I get cheated on by. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Because
interesting.
it's easy.
So is it true, and y'all can tell, is it true when a woman, well, obviously cheating on is never a good thing.
Right.
And I've
Well, it can be a good thing. You
act,
saved me.
and I'm very open about it. Audience knows that's on me. But so I heard this thing when a woman, and I may be wording this wrong, a woman doesn't feel as bad if the woman is just as beautiful or more beautiful than she is, but if she's uglier, it's like, how dare you cheat
It's not
down
true.
kind of thing.
Damn.
That's true. That's not true.
Okay.
It is a word.
I mean, but y'all heard that before, right? You heard like, if you're gonna cheat up. If you're gonna cheat up, don't cheat down.
I mean, no one wants to be cheated on regardless.
Well, I know, but I'm saying when you are,
I
it's
mean,
like,
yeah, if you are cheated on,
you
it's like
cheat
you're trying to put some logic around it as a woman,
Right,
right?
exactly.
So
Yeah.
like,
Why?
okay,
Yeah.
for the women that I know I got cheated on by, like, I don't know.
Like why?
Why? Like, what was there? Like,
What was the reason?
but at the same time, if it was a woman that, I mean, we don't know these women. She may have a lot going for her, but we're going strictly off appearance, right? So, but at the same time, that's all they could have went off of because of the short period in which it happened in. So we're on the same level playing field here, right? So, but no, it still hurts the same, whether they're good looking or not good looking.
well, of course, the hurt, yeah,
But
of course.
I
Of course.
don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't make things feel better if she's ugly.
Right.
If that's what you're asking.
It does make you
Well, not necessarily
No,
feels
it
bad,
doesn't.
but to your point about, there has to be some logic behind it. Like if you're
Yeah, I
going to
think
do
that's-
something like that, if it was to happen, if I'm the woman, I'm like, if it's gonna happen, she better be just as beautiful. If she's ugly, it makes no sense. And so
You'll never
I've heard that before, and I'm like, I get it, but it's like,
You might have
It
heard,
doesn't
well, at
make-
least she could have been pretty. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
yeah.
You couldn't even pick the pretty girl.
Like
Like,
she said,
yeah,
well,
That's
you're
what
trying
I'm
to justify it in
Yeah.
some type of way, trying to find logic.
Yeah.
Like, why
But it
would
isn't-
you do that?
That's an effort to make yourself feel better, and
Yeah.
none of it worked.
so
I think.
go ahead. No, go
No, I was
ahead.
gonna say, I think sometimes when you get cheated on, your natural response is it's just human nature to naturally think, okay, he supposedly loved me and was with me and he cheated on me. So you kind of naturally think, oh, wait, did I do something wrong? Was it me? And but then you come to a realization, no, it's really them.
Yeah.
When you get cheated on, it is never about you. It is about that person. That person is going through something. That person, made the mistake. It's really not about you not bringing from the table, you not being pretty enough, you.
Right.
And so, but it's sometimes when you get cheated on and there's that hurt, you kind of automatically think, did I do something wrong? Is
And
this
that's
person
even if
prettier
you
than
get
me?
to see the girl. I've been fortunate enough for the girls somehow always get in touch with me. So I've been able to see what they look like and what they about. Because I ask those questions, right?
Right.
But I mean, you don't always get to know who they are. So you're kind of, to Emma's point, you're trying to make up all this stuff in your head and find some logic around it. Because you're like, man, this man did love me, or this girl did love me. Like, why did they want to do something like that? But
So with that being said, then, and we can obviously clearly admit here, I'm hoping we can admit that women cheat as much as men do.
I think they cheat more.
Yo,
Yeah,
facts.
better at it.
There you go. The only thing is you guys are better at it.
You guys are idiots.
Not better meaning you
No,
want to do it more.
No, I
Not
only think
meaning,
we're
not
better
meaning,
at it.
not meaning
Not
you
that
want
I've
to do
cheated.
it more. I'm just saying that it's just you're smarter with it.
It's usually an emotional thing.
Right, it is definitely an emotional thing. And so because there's that understanding between men and women that they're both equally as capable of wrongdoing, equally capable of wrongdoings. That's why you typically find a lot of situationships.
Yeah.
Both on the men and women side, right? Because the expectation is unlike it was 30 years ago, where boom, if we're gonna date, we're getting married 6 months from now. No, in this day and age, it's more like, yeah, we're gonna date, but it's gonna be more to figure things out. We'll see where it goes. I'm gonna do me, you do you.
Yeah.
We fall for each other, boom, bada bing, we go from there. But back then, it was like, there's no room for error.
It's cut and dry.
I'm the first girl you met, we're gonna date, and then we're getting married.
And I think, like Ellie said, it's easier now, especially for men.
Option.
You have more options. You don't have. My mom used to teach me, make sure you let a man chase you. Let a man chase you. Women, it's hard for us to do that nowadays.
I disagree.
There are still some
But you're a
men
man.
who are down for the
You
chase.
can only speak for you.
Right,
You can't speak
but
for
if you try to let a man chase you now, he's gonna be like, oh, okay.
Well,
On to
no,
the next.
Especially in
Well,
Atlanta.
no, I disagree. Well, the reason I disagree.
Have you ever tried to get a man and
Time out,
then?
time out, time out,
Chasing
time out,
the
time out.
Chase?
And he said yes.
Chase?
Yes. Okay. Have you ever tried to date a man and then?
Oh, wait.
Hell
Right.
no.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Hold on a second.
No, wait. Go ahead, Martini. Where's the going?
Bruh,
Yeah,
bruh.
I know, right.
Mom over there wiping her brow like somebody know.
Come on.
Right.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Time out. It is not just men that it's easier for. May I provide you with the information that 8-to-1 ratio of women to men in this city also, I'm sorry, forgive me,
12 to
that's
1.
right, 10,000 more people are moving per month for the next 3 years.
Next year it should be at least 16.
Thank you very much.
Oh my God.
With that number shows more opportunity for women to then also find a way to chase men. Now, not in the traditional.
Hold on, women to chase them?
Wait, time out. Let me finish. No, time out.
Okay.
The one I want to come tackle me so quick.
All right, finish, bro. Finish.
What I'm saying is that the chase, the method in which women chase men is different than men themselves. Men are hunters, direct hunters. Our traditional methods of going to get women will always remain the same. When it comes to women, they also do the hunting. They just do it a little more discreetly, i.e. technology. Women are finding alternative methods to reach out to men. Now, men will typically just go straight to the DMs, right? What women will do is women will use technology and line the men up. They will choose what they want based on what they see in front of them. Women do strategic things, like, for an example, when they go out to the club, they know which men they're going to get, so they put themselves available for that man's eyesight. They give him the opportunity to hunt him.
I'll disagree with you, bro.
That's right. Hey, but of course you can disagree. But you and I both know. But women know in this city, especially in this city, women know how much power they have. In this city, especially in this city,
I'm not disagreeing.
women don't know how much power they have in Atlanta.
I think
Certain bars.
I think there's certain powers that they do have, but for the most part, like dudes are the ones that are the rarity. Like it's hard to find a black dude in Atlanta who's single, who has a good career, got some great things going for him. That is probably not already dating like 10 other women in the city.
Right. And so would a woman just simply settle on one? But would a woman just simply settle on one man, or would she leave her options open to search for men? But I'm talking about where we are. Typically, to your point, if 5 years ago the ratio was 8-1, right? Now it's going to end up being 12-1 now. Within the next 3 years, it's going to be 16-1. There's more women in this city who are having to choose from the little amount of available men.
But you're not even thinking about just us. You're thinking about also we're playing against ourselves and gaming.
So essentially, it's more difficult based on the hunt.
So that's double.
So it's double. So it's actually more effort applied than we apply.
Yeah, because you really
That's
don't
my
know.
point.
I think I'm saying that we're not even trying. Like, because it's like, for me, it's hard to date. When you are a woman that knows what you have going for yourself, and you carry yourself as such, you have to weed out the men that are already intimidated by that. Then weed out the men that are gay. Then weed out the good men that are already taken by another good woman. What are we left with? What's left on Tinder?
Tank.
Or eHarmony, or Match, or like what?
Christian Mingle.
Christian
Mingle.
Well, we could just legalize polygamy. I mean, that's the stuff that works too.
That's why I'm saying our challenges is because there are great men, but naturally they're going to be gone a lot quicker. You know what I'm saying?
And the rest of them
and
are.
not until the 10 that good man had his eye on something from college, from high school.
Or he's still wrapped up in emotions from something.
From an ex?
He hasn't unpacked his baggage, and that's also another thing that you have.
That's women too, though.
No, I agree. I agree. My point that I'm saying is that it's not mostly men that are on the hunt. There's more women who are just as eager to meet someone as men are.
I think there's more women in Atlanta chasing a lifestyle, not a relationship.
Hold on, say that again.
There's more women in Atlanta chasing a lifestyle than a relationship.
But that's
who our competition is.
Agreed.
The girl that is at the club that you were mentioning, trying to navigate herself and strategically place herself next to who looks like the richest man in the club. That's not going to be any of these women in Atlanta.
Right, but that's what you want out of it. Men and women may want something different out of it, but the application, the meaning for why you want to have said man, there's more of you guys doing that than us. There has to be.
But it's just a ratio.
A
But
ratio.
I'm saying,
But that's what
you
I'm
gotta look
saying.
at what is left, though. We're talking about the good woman that's looking for a real relationship. There's probably really 4 out of those 12 that are actually looking for a real relationship.
Which means
And
there's
we're all
probably
competing for that same one man.
And we have to deal with
That's what I'm trying to
stipulations
say.
along the way. There's so many stipulations to that one man.
Right.
I got a question though. It's
Yeah.
kind of
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. That makes sense.
kind of along these lines. I guess this is for you ladies. So my personal history, like I said earlier, I met my wife in college. I didn't have a car. I worked in the mailroom on campus. So I mean, I had not that much money whatsoever. But one thing I told her that, is that I'll get to a point where I'm gonna have all those things. All those things that be able to, take care of you, take care of us, and financial security. So, and I say that to say, like, from your perspective, would you date somebody that has potential. They don't have it right down at this minute, but they have the potential to eventually.
As long as they really work
at your
college
college age, at your college age.
I was waiting. I was
about to get in on this.
You gonna say it? I was like, oh man. I was waiting. I was waiting. I was like, I know T's gonna say
There's a
something.
difference
I know
between
T's gonna say
potential
something.
and your
We
working
talked about-
towards it.
You gotta like.
Not I see that.
Oh,
Working
one at a
towards
time.
it.
One at a
Not
time.
I.
One at a time. One at a time.
Not I see the potential in you and you still on your butt, you're still a bum. But I
Right.
see
Oh, you
him-
have so much potential.
No, if you know you have the potential and you are working towards it, you're working
Yes.
hard, you're grinding, and I see you.
Right.
You're self motivated and all of that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if I can just see the potential in you, but you're not
Not
using,
doing
you don't
anything.
see it for yourself. Nobody has time for that. Not at our
That's
age.
what
She saw it in me.
And
That's
there's
why
a
we married.
complete
Yeah.
Between what you're saying about being a young adult, a child essentially in your career, and growing from that place with your partner, and then trusting each other to support each other as you grow and change and embark on your professional journey, whatever that may be. But here we are pushing 40.
Right.
You can't come and step to someone the same way you could when you were 19.
Yeah.
It's-
Agreed.
right.
You just, it's just, where were you for the last 20 years?
Right.
No, I'm just,
You're still an
saying
aspiring
that.
rapper.
I'm just saying that. And that's something, we were talking about what we see growing up as kids. My parents had that same story as you, where they embarked on their professional careers together and are still together after 40 years. And so they've, acquired many accomplishments together and gone through a lot of rough seasons together.
Yeah.
But that's because they started as kids together.
Jesus.
And many of us who are just dating, I'm married now, obviously, but folks who are just starting in their mid-30s, it's just a completely different perspective and different expectations.
So producer T, we jumped on this like maybe 10 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Something like that.
He is like a dating
So
expert.
No, don't be out there.
Y'all get
cool.
your intellectual understanding because you're about to get a straight analyze
No.
of our episode from 10 episodes ago. So by all means, go ahead, brother. Say what you got to say.
All right. So let's go back. So, you proposed the question: would you date a person with potential? Let's define what is potential.
Right.
So we're talking about like personality.
Let's define potential.
There's layers to it.
There's layers to it. So let me propose this question to y'all, and I always ask women this: would y'all date a guy if you met him at Burger King?
Where?
Wait,
Be
Not
honest.
care about his health.
Hold on.
Don't care about your life.
You working on me.
He's working.
Hold on. One at a time.
See the reaction. I saw the reaction. Y'all see this reaction?
One at a time. One at a time.
Wait.
And is he working?
Right. So that's what I said. We got to break this down, right? So I've asked plenty of women, would you date a guy that worked at Burger King? He had his stuff together. He had a 90, let's just say, instead of the 80-20 rule, he had the 90-10 rule. He had 90% of everything you ever wanted in a guy. He ain't never asked you for nothing. Right. It could be. But would you date him? Would you give him a chance? You didn't know any of those.
Be 100 now.
Take you out?
No, but that's what I'm saying. You got a chance to take. He took you out, right? As a matter of fact, he likes being in the hospitality industry, right?
What does he do?
It's Kirsten's face that's killing me right now. It's Kirsten's face that's killing me right now.
I don't know why you do at Burger King.
Right. So, but that's what I'm saying. But see, that's the point I'm getting to right there, right? Because most people will prejudge a person because of their temporary circumstances, right? You don't know if this guy may be.
It could be his part-time job.
It could be his part-time job, or he could have that might have been the only job he could have gotten at that time, right? It could have been a recessionary period. You just never know. But some women prejudge before even getting to know that person, and that's the point that I'm trying to make. Like I love the reaction because it's the exact same reaction And I got it for women that have been 50 plus, all the way down to 20. So
But
that's
those are fair reactions, though.
that's the point. That's why I like to kind of skew the audience and kind of see what type of reaction you get, because nobody stops to think about, okay, why is he at Burger King?
Yeah.
There might be a reason. If this person is able to talk intelligently, come to me, approach me in a correct manner,
Right.
ask me out on a date, okay, I don't want women to just prejudge that man. You just never know what the person's situation is.
Right.
So,
But we typically do that. We don't judge the situation straightforward. If you're a real woman, you take all those things into counter, and you're like, okay, maybe this. You do every situation in your head before you speak. That's one thing women will do. We'll take everything in effect before we speak. A real woman will.
oh,
Lies and
The only reason I disagree is because we are emotional creatures.
Yes.
We react on emotions.
If the emotions
Not
are not
logic.
stroked from the
Right,
beginning,
so they can be
that's
skewed
yeah.
by whatever may be going on at that time.
Right.
Like, no, I'm sorry, no woman's gonna walk into Burger King
Yeah, you're
and
the
see a man
That's how
approach
I'm
her that come from around the corner, the counter, and be like, hold on, let me unpack it. Like, no,
Right.
like,
Now, granted, age does play a role as well. I mean,
Like that's what I said.
you're 35 years old at Burger King.
Right.
You flipping burgers at 35. Like,
It doesn't matter. I want to think though.
What he's starting his own business. He just needs a couple hundred extra dollars in the
See,
right now.
that's what I'm saying. But most people, the reason, okay,
you gotta know the why.
let me speak from personal experience, right? Because obviously I worked in the fast food industry. I've worked in the clothing industry at the mall. You know, hey man, they don't playing me. It is what it is.
Get off your chest, too.
Hey, I gotta get it off my chest, but that's the point I'm making, right? But that's the point I'm making. But see, nobody knew, right? You're right. That's the point I'm trying to make. Even though
That was your play money. And you're like,
whatever the case may be, but see, I always don't go with the sob story.
You deserve that.
But what I'm saying is that most people prejudge you by your circumstances right then and there, instead of just looking at, okay, hold on, let me look deeper into what's going on here.
But time, why do you think? When did things change so much that we are, as a majority, so concerned with what people do instead of who they are in regard to dating?
Right.
Internet.
Like when?
Internet. I think it's exposure.
No.
Yes,
Wait a minute. Time out.
Internet, it's exposure.
Time out. Wait a minute. Don't blame the internet for something that is based on human nature. The internet exposed who we are. It didn't develop who we are.
But
The internet, and I'll tell you why. I will tell you why.
But it maybe made us worse.
No, hold on. No, it did not. And people always blame the internet for the way the world is. No, the internet just pulled the blanket off of what was considered the truth. Don't sit there and blame the internet.
we don't know on the internet if it's the truth or not.
Hold on.
That's a facade.
I agree. Now, to a degree, it may be exaggerated, it may be amplified, but it's still the basis of the way human beings have been. For an example, key and note, right? Women have always been, not that that's just who they are, but they've always been based on kind of the standards that men have kind of pushed upon them. Women will bring what women have been known up until maybe like the last 20, 30 years, but women have always really been known for the way they look. Aesthetically, if you look a certain way, that's who you are. If you're beautiful, you're meaningful, right? You could be as dumb as a wall, but if you're beautiful, that's it. I don't care if you have substance, that's just who we are. You could be a guy, you could be a dick, an asshole, a murderer, I don't care. But if you've got money in it, you can show, or it looks like you can take care of me, then I'm going to be interested. For an example, a brother shows up with some $400 Gucci shoes on and a belt, baseball hat, iPhone, driving a Challenger. He looked like he got money, but he doesn't. Boom, I'm interested. Now, right. But even then, but most of them are not. They're just putting on the facade as if they have it when they don't. The only difference is you take him and then you take the internet and it amplifies.
Girls do it too.
That's what I'm saying.
I know girls that work at Aldo's but got red bottom.
No, that's what I'm saying. That same ideology has been. It's been like that. It's just the internet has amplified it. So we have to be careful when we use the internet and we can't blame the internet. It's just like when people say that more black people are being killed now than they were 50 years ago. If I ask my mom about the stupid shit that was happening back then, or ask my grandmother, they'll laugh at us.
Right.
It's just more exposed. We can't use the internet for excusing accountability. So we got to stop that.
Speaking of the internet, so as you guys may or may not know, every meeting that we have, you know, and are well aware that there's some people who are just shy and don't like to ask questions. So I always have a little bowl that, you know, women can write their questions down in. So we have a question about online experiences. One of the questions is online dating a worthwhile experience?
Producer T.
What? I mean, you're the most single. I can't.
What's happening?
Online dating a worthwhile experience?
You have to weed through way more.
But see, that's the thing though. Like with me, I'm not a social media person, so I really can't comment on that question because but the reason being is because once again, it's going back to the point I was just trying to make before. With social media, you're only allowed to see what people allow you to see.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. So I tend to think of it as a facade. You know what I'm saying? And then going back to the point you made earlier, you're meeting the representative. You're not meeting the real person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You mean the ideal of the person, not the realistic
Online.
side.
Online.
Yeah. Or even in that first 6 to 12 months that you meet that person. Exactly. That doesn't mean anything. Like I tell people all the time, you can meet, okay, if a woman wants a certain thing out of a man, she may, I want a man with a job, a house, a car, but he can still be an asshole to you.
Right.
What does that mean? You're honoring and putting, or basically materialistic things are taking precedence over your life, right? Instead of you really looking at the intrinsic value of who you are and weighing that over materialistic items or things or whatever. So I'm looking at it from that perspective. That's the reason why I can't do the social media type of shit. That's just me. I don't mind it. It's just it's great for connectivity, you know, the purposes that people use it for. But then when you get into the dating world and then you see the facades that are put out there, it's not even worth my time. That's just
It's hard.
I don't
So
do
the
that.
person I'm dating, I met on Tinder.
Okay, so hold on, and I'll defend it before you continue. I will defend it, and I will say this: you must understand. Again, when it's misused, if it's exaggerated, mischaracterized, again, technology, when used as a tool and used correctly, is most beneficial in all aspects of life. You must, and we preach about it on the show, and again, we do this on the show. We'll look at one thing from one perspective, and then we will counteract with a different perspective to create a generalized understanding. You must understand that technology is a natural course of life. You can't blame it for everything. And I know a lot of you are like, what? You must understand it is human nature for us to create. We are going to use our creations. Latins predicted it 2,500 years ago. Deus ex machina, man and machine must become one. It is inevitable. We must be like our Father. He created us, therefore we must create. However, when we create that technology, it has a tendency to get out of control. And we begin to lose ourselves within that technology. What I mean by that is that does not mean you cannot meet genuine people on the internet. Again, as we stated before, society is a lot more complex than what it was 30 years ago. Before, yes, you could go to work at 9 a.m., get off at 5 p.m., and you have evening and weekends to do whatever you want. In this day and age, you find a lot of people who work 2 jobs, who would do anything to be able to, some people have 3 jobs. They would do anything to be able to interact. They need a tool or a method to interact with people while their daily lives are going. That's where technology comes into play. And in my sister's instance, she's a very busy woman. She travels 80% of the month. The odds of her actually meeting someone that she can at least have a basic conversation with is very limiting. That's where the tool that we have created comes into play. So again, if it's used as a tool and not a filler, it is most beneficial.
I was gonna say that's key, right? Like that's that was one of my first questions for the person that I'm dating. It's like, okay, well, you look great, but why are you on here? And I'm sure you have the same question for me, right? And it was that very same thing, right? So he's in a line of work where he has crazy hours, like crazy. I work a lot. He works a lot. So it's literally like intentional dating time when we go out, right? So without already having someone there that you can do that with, it's very hard to just run into somebody unless he's like meeting them at the gas station, put gas in his car, go get groceries or what have you, right? So that was really the first thing we had to unpack in our conversation, and then we went from there. And then even to this point, I think we're almost at 6 months, and it's like we're just now getting to the place. It's like, okay, you're comfortable, and like you feel like you know this person, you know, and yeah. But there are some stigmas with online dating. You have to be a lot more careful with it, especially being a woman, right? Going to an open place or places you've been before, whatever. But to answer the question, is it a worthwhile experience? I think it is, because you get to ask questions before you even decide to go out with this person.
Yeah.
And have a conversation, a very intentional conversation about things you want to know up front, to say, do I want to take an hour or two out of my day, tell my mom I'm going to a real estate appointment versus a date. And then come back to the day was a success, so then you come back and
Somebody should go.
Right.
Yeah,
somebody knew I was going. But no, I think it's worthwhile.
It's funny.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it just reminded me of something. What? Speak up. I have a loud voice. It's funny that you said you do have to tell girlfriends and people that you know when you're going to be alone with a man, even if it's like you're just going on a date in a parking lot. I remember the first time we hung out.
Oh shit.
Tell it.
The first time we hung out, I was very, very naive. And I was like, yeah, you can come over to my house and I'm going to be watching Walking Dead. You can come over, blah, blah. And then a few hours before he came over, I started thinking, oh my God, I don't even know this man's last name. I don't know his last name. I don't know anything about him. I met him at the gym.
Well, you guys are mutual friends.
You did it too, didn't you?
He went over there.
We didn't know anybody. No, I just learned through him.
I miss
I had to text my friend. I texted Megan and I said, hey, I made a kind of a big mistake that I can't take back. I invited this man to come over to my house and I don't really know him. But his name is Paul and he works for AT&T. That's all I know. If I don't text you at 10 p.m., you need to come for me. But that's just
now, granted,
yeah, he didn't know me.
Now, granted, right.
And my roommate wasn't there.
It wasn't like it was the next day.
No, it was not even a week later you came over. We met on a Tuesday, you came over Sunday.
Right. And granted,
you came over real quick.
God is just on one side, women are like, oh, you are, men, on the other side, men are like, that's my dog. You gotta understand, hold on, stop for a second, hold on.
But it could have been a setup for you. She could
Oh,
have
I can kill
Right,
you.
thank you.
ready to rob you.
Thank you.
We were
Right.
watching Killer Women on Netflix.
Yeah, we were watching Killer Women, and one woman did actually end up luring a man. But
Snap.
to our defense, we had quite a few conversations. It wasn't like we talked once and I was there in a week.
It wasn't even 7 days.
It's just-
What happened in
Oh,
conversation?
Yeah, and we ain't too long, and
This is this is how real sister are. He tries to skate around the point.
No,
He
I'm-
just say
It
it
is.
quick.
It is.
It was quick
It's
and
okay, man.
it
It's
was
okay.
neglectful on both of our parts. We
Yeah.
should not have done that.
Yeah.
We didn't know each other.
I mean, the attraction is great, you know, like, what do you want me to do? I mean, you know.
where you were?
He ain't text T.
He ain't done nothing.
He ain't got a group chat.
No, I ain't tell him
Yeah,
that. No, I didn't, but after watching Get Out and I got back in the middle of nowhere, I texted both these fools like, hey, like,
You turn
their
on
house,
your
bro,
share
is like, their house is about 3/4 of a mile from the main road. Like, it's a dirt road, like, bro, like, their
You
house.
probably would have found the house.
It's about 150 acres of nothing.
We did try to Google it. Though.
Yeah.
I legit,
Nobody
like,
exactly
look,
I
if I
see
come
that
back,
screenshot.
if I come back, share location. I'm in Menlo, Georgia, at this address. Find
Then
me.
you talk about a year later.
No, but I know,
Biggest diversion ever.
I know, but no, for real talk, like real talk. Yeah, I mean, it's
Oh,
it's she wasn't so naive that any man could come over.
I
Again,
just found you.
there was
I didn't really trust him.
She did, but the thing is, again, it wasn't like we talked about. Yes, it was a week. No, we didn't do anything. We didn't have sex the first week. It wasn't anything like that. There were a number of conversations. We did get familiar with one another. It wasn't baby talk. It was actually some pretty good intellectual
Okay, let me ask
conversations.
you a question.
Yeah.
As your little sister, would you been okay with me
No,
inviting
I know
men
that's right.
over and less than
No.
7 days?
No, well, I'm sorry. There are double standards.
I told my mother wasn't here this podcast and she would never be okay with that.
So
Sometimes double standards are okay.
they are. I get that one. You know, but no, I mean, I wouldn't have been okay with it. But at the same time, I also trust my sister and her judgment.
That's the way you get out of it, bro.
When my
Right.
time out. When my mind doesn't act right, then yes, you know, I make my stand and I say what I need to say, which is facts. I do that. But at the same time, yes, would I have approved of you allowing a man to come over within a week? Probably not. But at the same time, I still would be understanding and say, okay, look, my sister's not stupid. If she's going to allow a man to come over, she's not going to let any man come over. But if she's going to allow this guy to come over, there must be a reason.
Everyone has slip-ups though.
I agree. We're not perfect, but that's the point of life. I can't be there to protect you on everything, and I can't expect you to make the absolute best decision with everything that you choose to make a decision on. But that's life. Such is life. At some point in time, there's got to be a little bit of give and take. But I would have trust for the decisions that you make. If it turned out to be okay, which it did.
All right.
All right. You see how life is?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
You didn't cut me up in a million pieces.
If you live through the rest,
You got another question?
We got another question.
I got another question.
Go ahead.
This is actually probably a good question for you to do, or Ryan and Kirsten, anyone in like Martin.
I'm just a cameraman.
Can you make new friends of the opposite
No.
sex after you've already been in a relationship or
No.
New friends.
Or what if you, to take it a step further, what if you already have friends of the opposite sex? Would you start to limit how they can hang out or when they can hang out? I mean, there's a line of respect.
There's a lot of respect, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I would say making new friends, either one of us, I'll be kind of weary about that. Just because not with my wife's intentions or with my intentions, I think I'm worried about the intentions of those other people. Those are some of my concerns. Like if it was a situation like, okay, maybe they were married as well too, I can kind of understand that. But it's at the same time, it's like, you know, I don't know what they got going on. So yeah. No, little sus. Yeah, little sus in my point. But I will say this, as far as like friends that of the opposite sex that either one of us had prior to our relationship, I mean, I'm okay with that. There's a level of respect that has to happen. Like I'm not one of those guys who my ego and pride like really get in the way too much. But at the same time, you know, that dude needs to respect me as her husband, and my husband and my wife needs to, when she's out with that individual, whatever, you know, respect me and respect our marriage. So that's all I ask.
And the time and hours.
Yep, time and hour, all that.
Right.
So one of two things. First things first. All of my friends that are girls, she knows and hangs out with them.
Yeah.
So there was the immediate trust. So from the beginning, I said, who are my friends? So we'll use Lauren as an example, right? And with being married before and being in previous relationships, Lauren has only been a viewable threat because she's beautiful. That's it. I could say, hey, you guys go out on dates together or go hang out together, do girls' night. There's always been that level of uncomfort that deems or warrants to say, hey, you can't have friends with girls not because you don't trust me, it's because you're insecure.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not always, but a lot of instances it's based on insecurity. So what I tried to do in this instance and say, hey, this is my friend. We've been friends for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yes, she's beautiful. She's in a relationship with someone. I have nothing with her. We've never had anything. I was attracted to her back in high school.
When we started dating, she wasn't married.
Right, but you know, I was attracted to her back in high school. This is what it is. Never had anything, but I would like you guys to be friends so you can have an understanding of why I'm friends with her. There's nothing more. There's that. Now, at that point, if you are still weary about it, that's your insecurity, not an issue of mine. And if there's that level of insecurity, that's something that needs to be conveyed.
Unless something has happened.
Unless something has happened. Now,
You have boundaries with that friendship, as Shadu was saying. The time that you all may talk, what you talk about,
Exactly.
hanging out, hours of hanging out, stuff like that. Even
Absolutely.
if you guys have been friends for 20 years.
absolutely, 100%. And that's one of the, I think it should be every stipulation in the early phases of a relationship when you're dating. You know what I mean? Like if it's just casual dating, nah, whatever. But if it's one of those things where you intend on building something or you see yourself building something with that person, you kind of have to put it out there. Not only just so that person knows, but also to see if that person and how they react.
I was gonna say, during that casual dating period, you kind of want to see how they react.
Right, because I'm like, if I'm, if you're being upfront and say, yo, this is my homegirl, right, and she's not the cream of the crop, I'm less worried about how you feel. But it's only when she's beautiful, then it's like, I think she's a threat. And I get why, because typically men will usually go for what's beautiful, right? So the way we perceive women is the same way women in a lot of instances, in most instances, will perceive themselves. So I get it. But if the communication is there and the trust is there from the get-go and you're privy to that information and you still feel some type of way, that's where it's like, we're pretty much, our time's up.
Well, you were very upfront about your relationship or your friendship with her. Like you were very upfront about it from the get-go. She was the first person I met that was one of your friends because you were helping her work out because she was getting married. And you even said, I think it was like very early on, you're like, hey, I'm gonna be working out with this girl. It's nothing. She's just a friend. I just want to give you a heads up. Because if I had gone in there and I'd seen him chit-chatting and talking to another woman, I probably would have been like, oh, okay. Well, what do you think?
Actually, to that point though, to that point, before I actually met Emma, the day that she actually noticed me, I was actually talking to Lauren. We were working out. And I was.
Oh, she noticed you? You didn't notice her?
Oh, she noticed me first.
I noticed Lauren first because she was wearing hoop earrings at the gym. She's got hoops on at the gym.
You want me to go into the story right now? Hey, tell the truth. Tell the truth.
I'm to the four millennials relationship couch.
Right. Tell us, what is your problem?
Right. And based on our conversation, she had seen me talking to Lauren about the wedding because she was preparing for the wedding. So I was training Lauren for her wedding. But based on the conversation that we were having at that time, from her perspective, it was perceived that we were in a relationship together, that we were engaged because of the way that we were talking, the way we were interacting. So she thought that we were together. So boom, automatically she ran with it. And it wasn't there after that I told her, no, she's one of my homies. We've known each other for a long time. There's nothing there. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just training her for the gym. And so at that point, I was like, this needs to be different than before. And it did automatically go ahead and introduce them.
So speaking of that, though, kind of getting back to the dating now versus then. So do you think the gym is a comfortable place for women to approach men versus like men?
For women to approach men?
Yeah. Because I feel like, that's like an easy conversation. Like, can you show me how to do this? Or...
From my perspective, From my perspective, if you were asking me this before I met her, I would say no. But now that I know, because I'm going to tell the truth, Em. I had noticed that she had been, hold on, let me explain. Nope.
No, let's just talk about.
Nope.
Life.
Nope.
It's becoming too much about you.
No, I have to. That's the point. Is in order for me to give her an understanding.
So, Martine, what would you like to say?
Well, I know for a fact my husband and I used to work out together ahead of my pregnancy, but we would talk about that dynamic in the gym. He wants to be left the hell alone at the gym. That's it.
Put his headphones in, don't talk to me.
I see a headphones on, no music playing.
But if a beautiful woman comes out and starts.
That's his time. Like he's just that's what he used to tell me.
I agree.
And he's about he's a loner anyway, but he's very I'm not even in the mix when I'm at the gym. I'm trying to be over here, stay over there. Get a little swollen on it.
I get that.
He's not on that type of time.
Don't confuse me wanting to get my workout done for I'm not going to notice beautiful women when they walk by. I noticed an attractive young lady was looking at me. I didn't pounce the first time she looked at me.
Her.
Hold on. Yes, right.
Like you're addicted, it's just there, it's there.
Exactly. And Ryan and I, we trained together for years.
Hold
Right, hold on, let me finish. That's good. What I was getting at when Ryan and I have been training for years, what I was going to say was that we are focused on our workouts. We're definitely focused on our workouts.
That's true.
We do a lot of talking.
Hold on. We do a lot of talking between each other, but we focus on our workouts. No, I'm not saying that I'm some superhuman being, but I am the way I am physically because of the amount of work that we put in over the year. The same with him, right? There were no distractions. We were focused on our workouts. We'd go 2.5, 3 hours until we were done, right? However, I am a guy, and I can only speak on me. When you came in the picture, all you would talk about was you. Jesus Christ. Anyway, that was the only time that we got distracted was that Kirsten was in town and he was going off. But anyway, for me, as a man, we're going to notice beautiful women. That's just what it is. And I'm not going to stop my workout to go holler at the first woman that looks at me.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. However, when I noticed that Emma had looked at me, not the first time, not the second time, but the third time, I was like, all right, she's looking at me. Like there's something up here. Exactly. At that point, there's a difference if there's just effort the first time. But if you're looking, there's something that you're interested in. At that point, I'm going to finish my workout. Then I'll go make my introduction.
And you notice that too, obviously, if you
Right.
saw him looking at you, you're looking at different times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's not like every single woman that looks at me, I'm going to go holler at. No, I'm here to work out. But there is an occasion where you cross paths, you look at each other, there's something there. It's like, all right, I probably should. That kind of thing.
My push-ups over there.
I think how we chase in. Yeah, how we make it down.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Again, like I said, y'all are smarter with it. Y'all are a lot smarter with it. I'm definitely giving
You
y'all.
want me to give her my sunglasses while I'm out? Because I'm actually.
No, y'all are hella slick with it
sunglasses.
though.
My workout.
Y'all are hella slick with it though. Y'all won't make it just out front and known that you're interested. But when we find out how interested you are, we're like, oh shit, I didn't even notice that.
Like I told them, I said by the third time you look back at me, I'm telling you you're single. You go get it.
That's telling you he's single. Girl, that's exactly what's wrong with that. I have a question about dating, like dating in the workplace becoming more prevalent now compared to.
So I'll give a piece of advice that my late cousin gave to me. He says, never shit where you eat.
I'm of that opinion, but I have several girlfriends who
Don't shit where you eat, don't shit where you sleep.
You did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, didn't work out.
So real quick.
At work.
What happened?
We were talking about if dating in the workplace where you work has become more prevalent now.
Absolutely.
Nowadays.
I mean, I'm not naming names. I'm not naming any names, but I have one at my dealership. Like it's out in the open. Like blatantly just everyone has accepted it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do you do this? Like,
If they break up, it will be hell.
yeah, hell is
Absolutely.
a
Somebody has
That's Yoko, right?
It's not me.
Like,
You gotta go.
yeah, and it's like, yo, they got like 5 years apart. Shorty is a youngin'. You know, like she's an adult, but she's a youngin'.
And especially if like the power dynamics are different as well too. Like say he's an individual contributor, she's a director.
See, that's
Like,
what I'm
that's
saying.
just-
That's too much.
Yeah.
That's too much checks, man. That's too much.
No, I don't think you should do it if you work in the same department.
No.
No, I just
Well,
don't-
yeah, there's a conflict of interest there, and there's
Like
some
I work
issues
for
there,
AT&T. There's 80 million different departments, and you may never run into that person. You don't even have the same hierarchy.
Right.
The same workplace, you could run into them like next month. I mean, and the chances are you've never seen them for 6 months, and you break up tomorrow, you don't see them next week.
Oh God.
I did that. We worked in the same department,
Yeah.
but it was a secret. We didn't tell anyone. Only his roommate knew. Years ago. only his roommate knew. Because his roommate worked with us as well. But it wasn't he came in, I was there, we were all watching TV or whatever, and his roommate walked in, so he knew, but he didn't tell anybody else in the department. But we were sitting on the couch. Watching TV. And that was it.
You slide devil, right?
Can an argument be made that people working together have the same interests? They're so busy,
Yeah,
so that's why they find that
but we weren't. It wasn't that serious. And what messed it up for me was not only we just didn't mesh well together, but one day he was very irritated at work, and I went to. Ryan was irritated.
Ryan gets irritated?
We ain't talking about.
Talking
That's
about
the way he
him.
looks.
Talking about him.
What?
Talking about him.
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
Anyway, this guy that was not Ryan, I went to his desk just to say hi, and he was very irritated from work, and he like went off on me.
At work.
Yes, and I was like, who are you talking to? And at his desk, but it wasn't like, only people who might have been around might have heard it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is not going to work for me. So it had other things to do besides just that moment, but
Still a no for me.
No thank
I'm done with him. What did he say?
9.
you.
So real quick, we have more guests than we did an hour ago. So I have a number of ladies that have arrived, and I would like for them to chime in on their dating experiences.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Did you need a moment to go ahead. You all right? It's okay. So if anybody would like to come up and introduce themselves, we would like to hear your perspective on dating, both.
Now again.
It'll be short.
I love your shirt.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Yosh.
Hey, yo.
She's a fellow Yapi.
Yes. You guys want to know about my dating experience?
Would you like the headphones?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I do think I have a unique dating experience. I am currently in a long distance relationship, and I have and I have met him on Facebook. To say the least, we've been friends maybe 6-7 years, and then we decided to date about 3 years ago. Long distance relationships are hard.
Where does he live?
Right now, he's in Augusta.
Not too bad.
When we first started dating, he was in Nashville, so that was 4 hours. So we got closer. But usually the biggest misconception about long distance dating is you don't get to see each other. The communication is not as great. You can't just go to them at the drop of a dime and say, "Hey, I want to hug you, I want to kiss you." But seeing as how busy I am, oh my God, this kind of works out. If I think about my schedule, I have a daughter. If I think about my schedule and everything that I do during the week and every weekend, there is no way that I can commit to him every single weekend right now. So it works. And I don't feel like I'm neglecting him. He can do his own thing. I can do my own thing. Like today, I had 4 appointments before I even got here. For me to get up in the morning and be like, all right, babe, we're going to do this, this, and this. I'm like, so you go do your thing. But what this relationship teaches me the most is to be deliberate and to make the most of every single moment we have together. So be deliberate with my communication. Make sure I'm saying everything I need to say immediately and to the point. And when we are together, don't take that for granted. I'm planning dates. he plans dates and we have deeper conversations and it's just more meaningful. So it's hard, people on the outside look at him like, how the hell you do it? Do you trust him? Sure, until he gives me a reason not to. And I hope that he does the same with me. And my child loves him. Yeah, and I'm, it's good. And I'm not okay. They say every woman, 2 years of dating, they start talking about marriage, you gotta hurry up and get married and all that good stuff. But I'm more of a believer of, ask me if I'm happy or not. Okay. Am I happy? Yes. Am I calling the Terrence complaining about him? No. So that means I'm on a good page. Keep it moving. If it's not broken, don't fix it. Of course, you want some type of commitment from someone you're spending so much time with. And it's that trust. It's that commitment of, I'm going to continuously make you happy and you reciprocate. That's all I got.
I love it, man.
Awesome.
Thanks, yo.
You're welcome.
Snaps.
Next up.
Anybody else want to share any other questions?
Y'all ain't got no questions? I know y'all got questions.
There's another question on one of those pieces of paper. I think that one on top.
Let's see. Okay.
Yeah.
How is love different from when you were 16? What would you tell your former self about true love?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Martine, I think I should speak on you know why.
Because I'm with the same person that I used to be writing love letters to when I was 16.
Exactly.
Okay.
So step up. Step up.
Wait.
Come on. You gotta get to the mic.
I have to come to the mic.
Yes, you do.
Oh, come on. Me and my baby.
Yep.
Okay, what was the question again?
So, how is love different from when you were 16? And what would you tell your former self about true love?
Well, I would certainly tell myself to be a bit more realistic. I think when I was younger, like most women and young girls, you just have this dream, this vision, butterflies and roses and all that type of stuff. For me, it was like Love Jones was like it. So it's going to be poetry and jazz and all this sensuality. And that's not necessarily real life every single day. And that's okay. And I think I would tell my younger self that too. But I am grateful that, like I was joking with Terrence about, I still have love letters and things that I used to write to my husband when we were kids. And some of those things are coming to fruition now. Starting a family, I used to talk to him about that when we were good 12, 13 years old. And now we are living it out. And it's not as cute as it was when I was writing about it. It's a bumpy road. It's sometimes scary. It's sometimes stressful. But the good thing is that love does carry you through all of those things if you trust it and have faith in it. So that's that.
I like it.
Anyone else want to share?
Next up.
I guess I'll share. I don't have much of a voice right now. Sorry, y'all. I can see, but I'm not sick. So anyway.
Speak your truth, mom.
Well, I'm Nikki, as you know, with those on the internet listening to. I am single. I probably have started dating within the last 2 years. Nobody in particular, just openly dating, as my friend knows, Ellie, and Veronica has heard some of my lovely things that have come to pass. I would say right now, dating with a purpose. I have learned and would say to my younger self, know what you want and express it. You can openly communicate that. That's something I can say that I've learned in my 32-year-old self, to communicate exactly what you want, not what you think you want. Because sometimes what you think you want isn't necessarily something you need. And in my open dating situation, I can say I filtered through men, not physically, but just seeing certain things that I didn't per se like, and I had the opportunity of taking myself out of before I got myself in too deep with a person or felt like I was wasting their time and they were wasting mine. So that's another thing I've learned is my essence of time and the value of time. And Honestly, I can say it's been a rocky road for me being single and dating, considering I came from a long relationship of 5 years where Ellie has seen the good, the bad, the ugly, and to where he's now the woman that he cheated on me with. He married, gave her my engagement ring that she still does not know to date. And now
You know that?
I should. But I'm not gonna do that because God works in a way to where the grass isn't always green. He's not getting divorced. And he decided to tell me, and I said, I feel like y'all should get counseling. The better part of me told me to tell him to get counseling. I said, have you all did something different than we did? Did you seek counseling? Because you're married to her now. You took an oath to God. And he said, no, we haven't. I said, well, we have nothing to talk about. I keep telling you that. Every time you talk to me, where's your wife? What's your wife doing? Leave me alone.
You got some answer.
I do. It just keeps coming. But,
Leave me alone.
But I can say to my younger self, just know what you want and commit to what you want and don't settle. And that's one thing I haven't done is settle. And I've committed to that. So
Yes.
Already.
You ain't spoke yet.
Rhonda got questions too.
Hey, Veronica.
Hey, Veronica.
Veronica, 35 in the Pisces.
Pisces.
Honestly,
Another Veronica that's a Pisces up there.
All right.
honestly, I'm happily single. Like I said, I'm 35 years old. My issue is that people are always trying to put me in a box and give me a deadline. Like, oh, you're 35, you need to have kids, you need a husband, you need this shit. I don't need shit.
No filters. Go right on ahead. Go in.
I'm okay with me, and it took a very long time for me to get here. And there are a lot of other things in my life that I need, you all know from our meetings, there are a lot of things that I still need to work on. And my mom says, she doesn't force that on me, but she'll say, stop trying to feel as though you can do all of this yourself. You can ask for help and you can have someone in your life who can support you and help you with that. But I feel like I'm doing all that for me. So I'll make this short, but I just, I'm okay with it just being me for right now. If I ever decide I want to get married, I'm not going to just do it with the first guy that shows me a good time or whatever. No, like I have to be sure and I have to feel secure that you're in this and we're in this together. I'm not going to do that. So I'm fine with it just being me. It's crazy.
There you go.
You are enough.
Let me just say this. Veronica just made a great point. For anybody that's single or just even married, learn to value and love yourself. Because once you are able to do that, you can be able to value and love others just as much. Exactly. So, now that was a great point, Veronica and Nikki made. Like, just learn to love yourself. I was just telling one of my homegirls in Chicago about this. We had this conversation, I think Sunday, where she was on that time crunch. She's 35. Her boyfriend at the time recently went through some changes, and he decided that he probably needed to just do away with the relationship right now. And I'm not going to say it's not legitimate reasons why he broke it off, but he had a lot of personal and family issues that kind of caused their demise. And so she kept asking, is it me? And I said, sometimes, it may not be because of you. And then she's questioning God in the sense of, what's going on with me? Why am I not married? This happened to me twice, where they were on that path to marriage and then it ends up breaking apart. But then she goes on to mention in the same instance that she's not patient. And so I said, well, maybe this is a time where you have to learn patience and you have to learn how to value yourself and learn how to spend time with yourself and get to know yourself a lot more. And so I thought that was a perfect segue. So just for anybody that's out there, please learn to love yourself, value yourself. Nobody's going to treat you better than yourself. So.
Big facts, big facts. We'll take one more question.
I think they're still answering the
Yeah.
last, right?
We
And
start?
what would you tell your 16-year-old
Oh, yeah.
self?
Oh, we start. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go
we
ahead.
got answers from all the women, but we didn't get answers from men.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, dude. That's on you.
That's on me. So what would I tell my 16-year-old self? I would tell myself to be a lot more confident in who you are and that you don't have to impress anybody, particularly anybody of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would have just told myself, be you, be the geek that you are meant to be.
Embrace your
embrace your geek. Yeah, not everybody's as fortunate enough to be cool. So, but yeah, I would have I would have told myself that, and yeah, that's the most important thing is, and producer T like brought it up earlier. It's just that self love, and you know that's the one thing I would have told myself at 16.
Got it. T?
I echo those same exact sentiments.
Oh, no, you don't.
Yes, I do.
He kind of
No, he
said
does.
it.
He does. I'm just kidding.
Dang.
Mine's very similar. Mine's more, I wouldn't necessarily say my 16-year-old self because I got married at 19. Wow. I would say just my younger self. My mind would have been slow down because I'm a very intense person. And I can say, yes, I'm cancer. I was raised by women, so I can be more emotional, more in touch with my emotions. So I tend to react off of those emotions a little more. And so I can move very quickly. And so long story short, when it comes to relationships, I feel more, which means I react faster. And I would definitely tell my younger self to slow down, just space it out, take time, think about it logically more, right? If it really makes sense. Yeah, that's my biggest thing is just slow down, relax.
I think if I were to
Hello.
say anything like us down, I know for me, like I started dating kind of late because my brothers didn't play that, but
Not at all.
and I say brothers because there was the lack, but I think for
Yeah. Sorry, y'all. We had some
Yes.
guests that arrived.
But I think for me, like, I think my point would have been to not try to always compare my situation or relation.
Sorry, go ahead.
My relationship with other people's relationships, right? Like, just because something was going on in their relationship that wasn't happening in mine, good or bad, doesn't mean that my relationship is not how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if they were all over each other and loving on each other at 16, 17 years old and I wasn't, that doesn't mean that something is wrong with my relationship or something's wrong with me. So I think it kind of relates back to today and like those societal pressures, right? You often compare yourself to what's going on and what's happening around you versus just focusing on you and the other person that are in the relationship. So I think if I had learned that at a younger age, I wouldn't have had so much of the pressure to, do some of the things I was doing in relationships at a young age.
Awesome.
So we have one last question that just popped up. So it says, does a man have to love his woman more than she loves him for the relationship to work?
No, not at all. I mean, we've talked about it on the show before, right? And
Yeah.
in any relationship, it's not 50-50, it's 100-100.
Right.
There has to be an equal amount of effort, both mentally, emotionally, and physically, I think. So no person, I think they feel differently, not feel differently, but I think a woman's perspective
Love differently.
love differently. They love different, but the amount of love and the application itself, the methods may be slightly different, but the amount, the quantifiable amount is the same. Yeah. It's
Do you guys
100.
believe that it should always be like 50-50?
No, it's 100.
Definitely 100. Definitely 100.
You said that? Sorry.
I will say this, I would say like anybody who's in a long-term relationship, just be careful not to lose who you are in that relationship. That you're still an individual, even though that you're a union now, because you've had passions, you had goals, and you had different aspirations prior to you being in that relationship. And sometimes we allow ourselves to forget about those things so we can help, get our partner to where they need to be. But I mean, if you can make it work, you can make it work. So, and that's just a testament to my relationship and my wife. Like, there's sacrifices that we both make, but we both individually have goals that we want to get to and that we have accomplished. So I think that's just important. And to me, honestly, it's a spark in our marriage as well too, to kind of see each other follow our dreams. So yeah, that's all I got to say.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope. Anyone else? Ryan? No. That's it.
Answers or questions?
Yeah. We have more questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
From our outline. I think we kind of spoke on this earlier, but it's in the outline, so I just want to make sure that we touch on it. So this is probably for the gentlemen, and everybody. In today's setting, right, you're together, whether you are in a serious relationship or married.
Mm-hmm.
Are the bills 50-50? Or is the man taking on more? It depends on how much each person gets paid. How do you decide?
You might not.
You pay the rent.
I want to hear what Terry's
got. We were kind of going this way earlier, but we never got there. So.
T, the mic is yours.
Oh, really?
Come on,
Go ahead.
Come on, Daddy, come to
Yeah, man, I am not that. I promise you. But no, I think you have to come to the table first of all. Look at your budget.
Yeah.
Because obviously you guys. I mean, depending on the circumstances, you guys might make the same. Who knows?
Right.
Or one person may make more than the other, right? So I've heard of. Well, I know a couple methods on how you can kind of make it equal. So I've heard you could do it from the percentage method, like say for a person who makes $100,000 a year, the other person makes 50. Well, obviously 25 and 50, when you break it down 50-50 is not equal, right? But if you do it off a percentage method, right, like, okay, you take 25% and pay this off, you take 25%, pay this off, we good, right? Or you can have, well, okay, we're looking at the mortgage, let's say your mortgage is a stack. $1,000. Okay. Well, I'll take care of the mortgage. You take care of any other bills that may equate to a stack. It could be cell phone bill, light bill. So that way there won't be no dysfunction and there won't be any arguments about money, because obviously we all know that's the number one reason why people divorce is money infidelity, right? So I think if you come together and have those discussions, I think you have to be open and transparent and honest about everything that that's key, the communication. Exactly. It has to be very early, right? Don't set the level of expectation, going back to the conversation that we had once before in regard to, telling people later on, about your finances. Have those conversations earlier on so that way you guys can be on the same page. Don't judge a person off of it, you know what I'm saying, because of what happened in their previous situation or their previous circumstances. Just allow them to get to the same level. You guys help each other. It's all about a partnership. Yeah, so that would be my best recommendation for that. Yeah.
I would just say being married, we talked about our finances prior to getting married. We spoke with financial advisors. We spoke with my dad, who's really good with money as well. And we decided, just because we were becoming one, and so we wanted to put our finances as one as well. So we just look at it as we're a team, regardless of if he makes more, I make more, whatever. It's all one pile. And so we do everything 50-50 is our money. So what he brings in is mine, and what I bring in is his. So that's what we decided to do. That's what makes.
So what you bring in is not yours?
No, we we give each other allowances, but it is, you know, you are human, and so if you are like, well, I'm bringing on such and such, you know, you have those moments. Everyone will have those types of moments. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you might have some financial issues that may come about. You know, that's human nature. You know, any relationship, any marriage. But at the same time, when you think about it again, well, we're still a team. So whatever bills that he has coming in, they're my bills. Whatever debt he had coming in, that's my debt. If you don't want to deal with it, then don't marry the person.
Right.
But that's why you talk about it prior to getting married, so you know, oh, he's bringing in $50,000 of debt. Well, if you don't want to have to pay for it, y'all need to have that discussion before you get married. But if you are willing to bring that on, great. Don't complain about it once you get into the marriage. So for us, everything is 50-50. We have one pile of money. That is our money. We take from it. If I want to buy something, if it's not within the money that I've set aside, that we set aside in our own separate accounts, then I talk to him about it. You know, I say, I want to buy this, and that works for us. But you have to decide as a couple and as a, you know, married couple, whatever, if you guys are living together, how you guys want to do your money, because different things work for strokes for different folks.
Yeah. I know we're going to tighten up in a minute. One thing to say, and then I'll let ladies jump in. I think a lot of the issues that comes into money in relationships is when both individuals make a certain amount, let's say before they get married, before they merge the accounts, they both live their life the way they do. Kind of it's usually within the means, if it's above it or just below it, but it's usually within their threshold of what they can do. Where a lot of marriages or relationships fall apart when it comes to money is then when they get together and that bank account reflects the dual income, then they both become so financially confident and they start to live beyond their means, right? And so that's why sometimes I don't really agree with the whole one bank account thing, because the perception that we now have more money is not, it's kind of false. It is a little tainted and a little skewed, because you see the lump sum, and so you begin that practice of seeing the money, therefore you think you can spend more and then you can't, and you don't take 3 years down the road and someone gets laid off or someone gets fired or whatever the case may be.
That's the reason why she said they have to allow.
Right, but and then
we both know the bills. So
right.
If you're both paying the bills, you see what bills are coming in, then you can see, oh, well, we actually, our bills each month do amount to, this is just whatever, $4,000 a month. Well, then you know, well, if you only have, if you have $10,000 a month coming in, then you already know, well, 4,000 of that is going to bills only.
Yeah.
So even if it is one pot of 10,000 a month, then you're like, okay, I know it's 4,000. I get what you're saying, because that absolutely can happen, because you're looking like, oh, okay, I was only bringing in 5,000 before, 3,000 before, and now I got 10,000 a month. Like, I'm balling out. So I get what you're saying, but it's the mindset of that person. You both have to talk and communicate about that.
But you guys also have separate accounts.
We do have separate accounts.
Yeah,
and I think that's what helps as well.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at the lump sum and then having your own separate savings versus having your own separate accounts, but you guys have both one savings.
Right.
I think it's still psychological though, whether you see it or not, right? Like, you know what the other person makes. All you gotta do is have it in your head. So I don't think it's a matter of looking and seeing, oh, there's $10,000-$15,000 in the bank account. You know, okay, I just got my check and it's X amount. Okay, Babe gets his check tomorrow. That means we're gonna have this. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a matter of seeing it in the bank accounts. I don't think bank accounts have a thing to do with it, because if you feel like you spent too much money, then you know this person's gonna bail you out.
That's true, but I think also
don't think
too, and we've talked about I think we talked about it before, that a lot of the times when couples buy a house together, they buy the house based on what they both bring in versus one person and what they can afford.
Right.
And so that's why I said that was, now that we're together, that means we can buy a $500,000 house because we both have income. It's like, no, let's buy a house based off of what one person can buy. And that's why I was saying.
That's also how we were raised though. So you're going to think differently. We were raised to think like that.
But I was just saying that to y'all's point about the money issue is that's where that comes into play, is we lived our lives this way, but the moment we're together, we think that we're capable of so much more. It's like, no, it's the same thing. You still want to live in that household as if it's one person.
That's right. And communicating.
Because you're like, look, I want to live on this one income, all right?
Exactly.
Like, pick one.
Right.
And if they're not gonna agree because they want that, $500,000 house.
Yeah.
Then we're gonna go with your income. That doesn't mean you can't take any income.
Uh-oh.
It doesn't mean what?
But that's the problem too. You want to live in this big household and double our expenses, but you still want to live the same life.
Yeah.
Like if we get this big house, know that dates are gonna go down to one supporter.
Facts.
Right?
Well, do we have any more answers at all? Any more questions before we're gonna wrap it up real quick? So real quick, as usual, y'all, we always like to let everybody know where we can be reached at. But I think it's only right that we allow everyone else to put your socials out there, where the interwebs.
Not social,
Socials, the interwebs, the social media. No, y'all. Okay, so for those who don't want to, and those who do, is anybody would like to give out your Instagram where they can contact you? Anybody who's going to
First of all, do you guys have any other business ventures? This is the time of advertising, promoting.
Come on,
Kirsten, there you go.
With the thousands of listeners.
Yes, everyone. You can follow me at _Kirsten. That's KIRSTEN Carter. I am a career coach and motivational speaker. I focus on helping individuals find and fulfill their purpose through career or business. My main target are the younger millennials and Gen Z, so high school students and current college students and students after college. So those students who don't know what they want out of life, they don't know what major they want to go into or whatever. I'm here to assist and to help them figure out their passions and how that can relate to their purpose in career or business. So if you are interested or you have any cousins, brothers or sisters, anybody, nieces and nephews, please hit me up on my social media.
Cool. Anyone else? No?
Where can they find you, Pete?
Where can they find me?
Yep.
No. Audience, you can find me. Pablo the Canadian on Instagram. It's PABLODUH Canadian. I am your friendly neighborhood connect. You can also follow me on YouTube as well. Got a couple cool videos on there. Probably send me on Facebook if you want to send me some messages through that route as well. Pablo@formillennials.com is the email. Send me a message there if that works for you. Brother Dude.
Yes. The handle is Duchala, DUCHALLA, on Twitter and IG. But don't follow me, follow Jesus.
All right. And then of course, thank you guys for coming here today and joining Doses of Doyenne. So again, I think we introduced the group at the beginning, but you guys can find us at Doses of Doyenne, which is DOSES. Doyenne is DOYENNE on Instagram. And then as a little side note, I do real estate too. Find me at Eliana Sanders. I'm a realtor. And I interior decorate. I do a lot, but you name it, I probably do it. It's Jamaican hustler to me, but yeah, thank you guys so much. This was awesome. Hopefully we can do it again soon.
Oh, we'll definitely do it again. And thank you to our live partakers. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
And on that side too.
And Instagram. Thank you guys so much. We're gonna see you guys later. As always, please feel free to subscribe and follow. If you want to know what we're up to, hit the notifications button every time we have a new post. If you guys have any show ideas, anything at all, feel free. Get us on Instagram and Facebook. As you can see, for Instagram, it's For Millennials Podcast. For Facebook, it's at For Millennials. Y'all communicate. Let us know what you think. In the meantime, peace.
Bye. Bye.
Right there.
Yeah.
Why you gotta bend the camera right here?
I bend over and everything.
Okay.
That's it. Ladies, thank you very much. So,
Dude. Who's this?
Oh no, you gotta use the
bruh.
Oh, bro. I'm like, I thought it was the touchscreen, you know what I'm saying?
use my troubleshooting skills
Oh,
here.
okay. I was like, yo.